is Daniel Robinson. I attend AC Flora, and I'm planning to major in geology at College of Charleston.
Good job.
At the break of dawn, in the middle of the Arizona desert, a crowd of strangers meet for one purpose.
You guys coming out here to help me out, I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart.
To help another stranger, a father desperately searching for his 24-year-old son, Daniel Robinson.
Since he was a child, he liked to challenge everything.
He was born with a challenge.
And I wanted to introduce him to prosthetics because he's born with one hand. We quickly learned that that's something that Daniel didn't want. He let nothing stop him. He decided to be a geologist once he got into freshman year in college. He excelled that, he graduated with honors.
Daniel's first job is checking the viability of water wells in the Arizona desert.
He loved this area, of course, because of the rock form. You're a geologist, this is the best place to be.
But the terrain became a hellscape for his dad when Daniel went missing back in June from his job site.
And what number search is this?
This is search number 14.
Navigating the dangers in the desert, the Army veteran knows firsthand time is of the essence.
When I called the Buckeye Police Department, they told me that I had to wait extra 3 hours because they had a 12-hour, report time when you can say a person is missing. Then I called them back and put in a missing person report. I got very worried. That's when I got very worried. I asked the Buckeye Police Department to go out and search that area. The officer told me that they were going to send a vehicle out there, a helicopter out to search for him. I was relieved. And then he called back an hour later and said, no, it was a no-go. I'm his dad, and he's my son. I've lost all sense of reality. At that moment, I said, you know what? They're not going to look for my son. I'm going to have to do it myself.
Before he arrived, police did decide to search on foot and with helicopters.
This is the last place your son was seen?
The last place.
What do you think happened, David?
I think a lot happened here. I'm very suspicious.
But he doesn't know what. A month in, there's a break in the case, and police call Robinson.
I got afraid, actually, that it's going to be some bad news. He said, no, we just found his vehicle.
Some ranchers found it, and then at that point, we conducted our investigation and additional searches.
What was the condition of the car? If it had rolled over, it sounds like it was pretty bad.
Yeah, the car was on its side. The sunroof was kicked out at that point, so he might have exited through the sunroof.
His wrecked car in a ravine, both airbags deployed, Daniel's cell phone, clothes he was wearing that day, and a case of water all found at the crash site. But not Daniel.
People don't just disappear into thin air.
True.
Does that sort of feel like what's happened to here?
Yes. Yeah, it's very, very challenging case.
No matter how much the family asks for this to be a criminal investigation, can you make that happen?
We can't make up evidence. Absolutely suspicious circumstances related to the case.
Frustrated and heartbroken, Robinson hired a private investigator.
Where are we going?
Down here is where the vehicle was recovered from.
Is that the glass from the car?
Yes.
When you looked at this accident, what are the discrepancies that you noticed right away?
I believe it was in more than one collision.
What does the data from the black box of the car tell you?
That there was 11 additional miles on the vehicle since the airbags came out.
What does that tell you?
That tells me it was crashed somewhere else.
Does that sound suspicious? What explains that?
Well, we had the national expert that came in and provided us his findings, and then they ended up speaking to an expert at Jeep, and the expert says, yes, sometimes that happens, and it's not unusual.
But the data also shows someone tried to start the car 46 times after the crash.
That's something we can't explain.
It begs the question, again, the family is saying it's criminal. It's got to be a reason danger. Do something.
Right. No, I agree. But we need information. We need evidence.
He's got a lot of theories. His words, I think, were, I don't think they cared. What do you say to that?
Couldn't be furthest from the truth.
Losing hope, Robinson began pleading for media coverage.
It literally took 3 months.
While Robinson searched for his son, the country became riveted by media coverage of another missing persons case, the case of Gabby Petito.
In my situation, people think I love our children less or something, or they're less important.
In 2020, more than 543,000 missing persons records were filed. More than 480,000 were cleared. And 40% of the missing are people of color.
There are a lot of Gabby Petitos and Natalie Holloways in the Black and Brown community.
That's why former police officer Derica Wilson co-founded Black and Missing Inc. and says too often their cases go untold. Eventually, local stations did stories and citizens began helping search. Did you know Daniel?
No, I just wanted to help.
You're just helping out a stranger on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Why?
You know what? I can't imagine what that man's going through.
As the search for Daniel goes into its 5th month, another family is in the midst of a terrible mystery for a 5th year. The family of Nikki and Ariana Fitz.
Ariana is very energetic, very happy.
2-year-old Ariana went missing under the most suspicious of circumstances in the San Francisco Bay Area in 2016. Her mother, Nikki Fitz, was found in a shallow grave in San Francisco's McLaren Park, but Ariana was gone.
It breaks my heart that Ariana's not with her mom and Ariana's not with her family. But it also breaks my heart even more is that I know that Nikki wants nothing more than Ariana to be with us, to be home.
Tessa Fitz says she is convinced her niece Ariana was taken by people close to Ariana's mother. San Francisco police searched for weeks. They had some leads, but no arrests. A digitally altered photo was made of what she may look like now.
And she's 8 now. I don't want to see this in a picture. I want to see her face in person.
Should Ariana Fitz be a household name like JonBenet Ramsey?
Absolutely. Why is her case any different from Kaylee Anthony? I can tell you, the color of their skin is the only difference.
For 5 desperate years, the family has continued searching using flyers, social media, and Black and Missing Inc.
Do you think it has anything to do with color?
I try not to put myself in the mindset of the race issue with her media coverage. All I want is for there to be the media coverage for her. I think she deserves that.
The Fitz and the Robinsons want only one thing, with hugging their missing children once again.
Do you think that Ariana is still alive?
I do believe that Ariana is still alive, and it would mean everything to me to know where she is and to find her. I wait for that day every single day. I believe that day will come.
How long will you search?
Till I find my son. I have to. I mean, he's my responsibility.
Sarah Seidner, CNN, Buckeye, Arizona.
Hello, everyone. Dave Robinson here, father of geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson. I'm here tonight to talk about my son, Daniel, who went missing on June the 23rd of 2021. He's still currently missing, and I'm still currently searching for him. Have done tremendous work out there in the deserts, with the help of many Americans looking for American scientists. Our efforts not going in vain. Everything we are doing so far is to find and locate Daniel Robinson. I'll tell you a little bit about my son starting off. I will be talking about that. And also I want to also share, some of the efforts that I am doing for my son, and as well as how you all can help, and also how you can help with locating other missing Americans in this case, in this country. I want to talk about the numbers of missing Americans in this country, and like I said, how we can help families when we have missing loved ones. It's one of the most important things that we can do in this country is help one another. It's a crisis that's bigger and long lasting than there was the opioid crisis and some of the other crises that we have in this country that needs to be addressed. But I want to make sure that we're talking about that. So I'll be right back. Thank everybody who joined in to watch this live with me and to join in with me. I want to go in the comment section as well to hear some of your questions that you may have. If you have questions, the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is in the comment section to utilize the capital letter Q, the word question, before you, or a question, big question mark before you ask your question. That way, when I come down the comment section, I will be able to find your questions and answer those accordingly. So again, thank you so much for everyone that's joining in. I'll see you on the other side. When the lights and camera turn off, I will be here. When the interest and conversation fade, I will be here. When there's no one around, a father will do anything it takes to be there for his son, to protect his family. Without these special people behind me, I wouldn't have a search. Hello again, everyone. Dave Rawson here, father geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson. I want to start off by just letting everybody know a little bit about my son's case, how it came to be, some of the things that you may or may not know, those who may just first time hearing about my son's case. Daniel, he's a geologist that grew up here in Columbia, South Carolina. Just talk a little bit about Daniel. He's the youngest of his youngest boy of his siblings. Just growing up, Daniel was, first of all, I want to say he was born without a right hand, but that is something that made Daniel even more bigger of a fighter to everything that he wanted to do. He amazed me and his mother, for instance, when he first was born. Of course, parents, we're going to definitely be concerned about his growth and development when it comes in terms to, especially when you go to school and have to deal with children his age. But Daniel, like I said, the resiliency of Daniel, the person that he is, the person that he showed us as a parent, showed us as parents that, hey, look, when I want to do something, I'm going to do it. He plays video games with his siblings, always challenging them and to make sure that, it's amazing if you watch him play. how he figured things out on his own and actually does the job on that, as well as he taught himself how to play the French horn, which was his very first instrument that he learned how to play. He taught himself, as well as he played the trumpet, messed around a little bit with trombone with his brother, and also did a lot of other things while he was in high school. He set his eyes on to geology his last year of high school. It's something that he thought about, but not really was totally convinced on. But he went to college on that, just saying, hey, I want to go out and be a geologist. But his freshman year, he was totally, that he was going to actually do this. But he ended up falling in love with geology in his freshman year of college. Not only did he graduate, but he graduated with honors. To back up a little bit, Daniel's personality, he's a person that has a lot of friends. If you go to College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina, you will find that everybody know, a lot of people know Daniel Robinson. Daniel was a person that you can walk, his siblings tell us all the time. You walk down the sidewalk, people always saying something to him. Hey, how you know this person? He's a very friendly, oriented person. He's also, as one of the founders for his fraternity, and just one of those overall all-rounded younger man. He loved to travel. He loves to learn about other people's cultures. He's very family-oriented. And whenever we have issues in our family, Daniel's one of those persons that will come and mend things. He found a way to get inside that gap and bring people closer together. You can see how he brought a nation together of people who helped to try to search for him. But my son decided to go out into Arizona to start his career, start his life. What I like to say, leave the bird nest and start his life on his own. He was very proud of that. Graduated from college. He went out to Tucson to take some type of class for geology. As a parent, we thought he was going to come back to South Carolina and then go venture out and what he wanted to do. He decided to stay in Arizona. He landed in Phoenix, Arizona, where he got his first job in life with a company called Matrix New World. It's also called Matrix Southwest Groundwater. They hired him on as a field geologist, and also called a hydrogeologist. And that was his first job. Daniel, very proud working for that company, a geology company that has a lot to do with what he loved. He loved Arizona because being a geologist, there's a great place for a geologist to start their career. Like I said, Daniel, as in just the whole aspect of just being in Arizona, he's one of the persons tried to even convince me to come out and live in Arizona. He just loved it. He just loved Arizona. He loved the air, the like I said, those rock formations. He always talking about Sedona and some of these other areas in Arizona. But those things came short when he went missing. So to give you a little backdrop on that, my son, he was doing what he does the best, is do his job as a geologist out there in different locations, wherever Matrix New World will send him. On June 23rd, he was assigned to 2 well sites. And I want to back up a little bit. When he's a field geologist, hydrogeologist, he often go out to various well sites all across that desert. Arizona's a desert state. He go out to assess wells, assess groundwater. That's his job as a geologist, to do measurements and things like that to find out if those groundwaters can actually sustain communities. By law in Arizona, these groundwaters have to produce 100 years of water and be able to recharge itself. Being a scientist, his job is to determine those things. That's what he was doing on June 23rd. He got assigned to 2 well sites. The first one, from what I understand, he took pictures of logs, but he went to go check some logs there. But something unusual, he took pictures of the logs. But then he was assigned to a second well site where he would meet another person named Ken, works for a different company called Weber Waterworks. That company drills wells and things like that into the ground. So he was going out to meet that one person. And from from the story of things, my son, I just go a little bit deeper, based on his cell phone. Based on the cell phone, he didn't know what his location was at. He reached out to Ken. Ken didn't answer his phone. Ken then finally reached out back to him. He missed that call, but then he called back and Ken didn't answer. So he sent a text message around 9:28 that morning. I assume to say, where's his location? But I can tell you that, uh, well, I want to say something real quick, and it's kind of dawned on me, but he did make a phone call, I want to say around 9:28. I'm assuming to find out what his location, because he sent a text message before that and to ask where the location is. Ken didn't respond, so that's when the phone call came. But the story from Ken was that my son met him out on Sun Valley Parkway. It's a long road that's outside of the Sonoran Desert. It's in the Sonoran Desert, but on the outside of the remote areas of that desert. He met him out there on Sun Valley Parkway on the entrance way to get to this well site. According to Ken, he talked to him for a quick, brief moment. My son hopped in the vehicle to follow him into this desert. They drove 1 mile west, 2 miles north to get to this well site. Once they got to that well site, it was at 9 o'clock that morning. Ken said that my son had left at 9:15. The story behind it, he said, hey, my son waved off to him, drove off, and never to be seen again. Sometime later, he said he went to go look for my son, follow some tracks on the road. And I'm just going to give you the side of the story. He told me personally that he stayed left of the tracks so he didn't disturb them, that he followed Daniel's vehicle tracks. And when he got to the T-junction area when they made that turn to go north, he noticed that the tracks went out west instead of going east back towards Sun Valley Parkway. He followed those tracks until, well, I want to back up a little bit. When he got to T-junction, he said he followed tracks going out to west, but he didn't want to. He said he told me that he knew he didn't want to disturb those tracks, but he knew that this case was going to blow up and become national, and that law enforcement would come looking, and this case would be national. But he followed those tracks until he got into, going out west, and he made it to this gate. He went to the gate and followed, went another mile or so, and he came into a clearing area where he got up on a higher elevation to see if he could see Daniel's vehicle from afar. And he didn't find his vehicle, but he said he marked these rocks with red paint so that law enforcement, when they come looking, they would can know where to look, or something to the effects of that. So again, that was his story of what happened. But as you guys know, that Daniel hadn't been seen from June the 23rd of 2021 after he allegedly met with Ken that day. He's been missing since. 30 days, almost 30 days later, after he went missing on the 23rd, his vehicle showed up on July the 19th in a ravine about 3 or so miles away from that well site, further into the Sonoran Desert. It was a 20-foot ravine lying on the side. And everything off my son's body, allegedly, the clothing that was there on the scene, allegedly, those clothing was everything that my son was wearing, from his underwear down to his sock, lying in a pile of clothes, 3 feet away from the vehicle. Everything is found on that scene: his wallet, his cell phone, cases of water that he had in his vehicle, some of his personal effects. And so, but Daniel was not there. Of course, all the airbags been deployed, suggesting that multiple people was in the vehicle, and also, some of the other information that we found. But law enforcement did not see foul play. Detective Biffin told me in a phone call that he see no reason to have done forensic work on the scene. They did not do any forensic work on the scene on July, I think it was the 22nd or 23rd. I definitely had to force law enforcement to hold a vehicle for another day to do fingerprinting, at least fingerprinting. But what they ended up doing was swabbing the steel wheel, the shifter, and the door handle. And to which today, as of today, here it is, 2024, they have yet to process that, to see if it matches to anything, or any of that, to get any type of answers to even just the passenger, the driver's side. But that they neglected to do the airbags. They neglected to do the passenger side to see who else was in the vehicle, those type things. And those are things I'm battling right now to get law enforcement to do. So what I want to skip, instead of giving you the whole story, you guys can follow that on the on many videos that I have here on the Please Help Find Daniel YouTube channel, as well as some of the other social media. If you guys have questions in the question comments, like I said, I will answer those tonight. Just go into the comment section, and when you do have those, just put the word question before your question so I can see those, and also or a question mark or capital letter Q or something like that, so I can know those are questions, and I answer your questions as I'm coming down. I'm trying not to stay on too long tonight, but I'm gonna stay on long enough to answer some of the questions. But yes, I want to say up front, my son's story is still alive and well. I still need your help and your love support to keep Daniel's case out there. One thing that's a lifeline for a family, for any family, not just my family, is to have your support, sharing Daniel's story, sharing their stories. Make sure that we keep law enforcement engaged. Like I said on that introduction, when the lights and cameras turns off, I will still be there as a father. But what happens is with families, many times, we have thousands of families go missing, people go missing. But what happens with law enforcement, if they see the interest fade away, they see the family kind of walk off and things like that, they give them shade to call it a cold case. They're no longer putting emphasis on that case. They're not putting big efforts on that case. They move on to something else. And so I'm not letting that happen to Daniel's case, especially when I have evidence everything we know about Daniel's case came from my own investigation. It didn't come from law enforcement. The 11 additional miles, the 46 initial cycles after the airbag deployed, all of that you heard about Dane's vehicle, for instance, came from my own independent investigation. And we have more. We have the airbags that law enforcement refusing to process. We have the vehicle that law enforcement refusing to fully process. We have the clothing that the family we don't identify. My daughter, Daniel's sister, don't identify the clothes. She see them almost every day. But they're saying it's his clothing. Let's process those things to get information from those clothing. Law enforcement refusing to do so. Don't know why. I always felt, and this is my own opinion, some form of cover up on this whole case, but that is my own opinion. But we don't see any evidence of law enforcement really trying hard to find answers when answers are right there. Only if they do the processing, only if they look for the leads that they say they don't have. We have no more leads in the case. You have leads in the case if you were to process and do the work that I've been fighting for almost for over 3 years now. So again, I need you guys to continue to support, continue to share, continue to talk about Daniel's case, continue to go on the website. Please help find Daniel, which I will be putting up here shortly, to ask for those flyers, because we need those flyers out there. There's room. There's a lot of people maybe listening right now, never heard of my son's case, don't know the details. But there's people that need to learn, know what's going on with Daniel's case, because it helps. Trust me, it helps a whole lot. It helps the family a lot. Like I said, it's a lifeline. Let's say Daniel's being abducted or something happened out there in that desert, and he's somewhere across the country, and those flyers make it out there, and somebody recognize something, because we have human trafficking going on, we have all kind of things going on out there, and if somebody recognized and saw something and heard something, those flyers actually help. So if you guys can, it's free to you. It wouldn't cost you a dime. You can request those flyers and we can send them out to you. But if also you want to help me with resources, because it does cost to print, I also have an option for you to print those flyers out yourself. That'll help. And also I have other things I'm doing also to locate my son, and also to continue to press law enforcement to stay active in Daniel's case. And that is the mail-in protest, the protest for what I'm asking for is in the process to fully process that vehicle, process, by the airbags, the clothing, and take some of the consideration, all the information I found out about Daniel's apartment, all of that. And so to force law enforcement to do the work that they should be doing, should have done a long time ago, not to pat themselves on the back to say we did X amount of searches, we swabbed the steering wheel and the shifter that they never processed. That's not how you do a case. That's not how you treat a family. They would not treat a law enforcement officer. If it was Chief Hall, who was chief at the time, it's his son that went missing out there in that desert, there would have been no question. It would have been deemed a criminal case without the quote evidence that he said had to be there. They would have been processing that vehicle fully. If it was a law enforcement officer, same thing. They would not say, hey, well, I know it's my son, but we have no evidence of foul play, and that's all we can do. We're just gonna swap the steering wheel, the shifter, and the door panel. It would have never worked that way. So we want the same treatment as if it was one of their own, and that's what I'm pressing for. So again, I want to go real quick to the comment session. So I got also some of the questions, because I got a few things I want to talk about when it comes to missing Americans, and I want to make sure that I'm putting that out there first, because it's very important. Things that could have happened in my son's case that could happen in the future. So I'll work with that. I have Esther. Thanks so much, Esther, for being here, and thank you so much for constantly being the support to everything I do. And I truly appreciate my efforts from day one. You have always been here to support, so thank you. Also, Brooke, thank you for being here, praying for you and your family as always. And I thank you. We need all the prayers. I believe in prayer. I'm a man of faith, and I believe in prayer. Prayer changes things, and I can say some things about that as well. How prayer helps, and how a lot of people say, hey, you believe your son, you're going to find your son. I still know I'm going to find my son. I still have that faith, and I have that prayer that's behind me that would say those things will happen. Why you ain't find your son yet? I always look at life like this. For me, I wanted to find my son from day one. I left South Carolina to go to Arizona when law enforcement tell me they weren't going to look for Daniel. He's a grown man. He can disappear if he want to. That language caused me to hop in my vehicle and drive 2,000 miles to get to Phoenix, Arizona, to go out there to look for my son. And one thing for sure, regardless of the fact, when I got there, my mind was I was going to find Daniel on day one. Day one turned out to be 3 years, but you see what happened in those 3 years. Like I said, I'm going to find Daniel. It's taken me some time. However, great things came out of that situation. Sometimes in tragedy, the prayers, the faith, and everything else, it helps other families. It's not selfish. It's not something just for my family. It's for many other families out there. We found human remains out there. After that 49 weeks of desert searches, 35,000 acres of land, we brought closures for other families out there. Families who were otherwise never known their family member was out there in that desert. So give them a form of closure. Was also able to share other stories out there to bring a light into other families who have missing loved ones of their own. We brought families together from all across the country to talk about their stories. And there's a lot of great things coming out. My run for Congress right now, U.S. Congress came out of this tragedy. And that's going to help millions of Americans as well, especially when I win. So I'm saying a lot of things can come out of tragedy. So the prayers, Brooke, is something that I definitely need. You probably can look at me right now, everybody. I can tell you I am tired. So I had to do this live tonight because I want to make sure that I'm really talking about Daniel, so you all can know my fight for my son is not over. I really need your support and to keep this thing going. So again, thanks so much, Brooke. Thank you, Mary Ellen. Greetings to you, and thanks so much for being here. Lavender, thanks so much for being here. Hello to you. Thank you also, T. Hammond. I really appreciate you for joining in on the Facebook sides. So sad. My heart goes out to all the missing families. Thank you, because we all need that. We need the prayers. We need the love. We need support. And one of the biggest things is sharing. I'm telling you, sharing is caring when it comes to missing American case. So we need you to pick one. I say this often. I'm asking everybody to pick a case a day, pick a case a week, whatever you can, to share someone's story. Share a story that would be a lifeline for that family. Also, thank you, Kim, for being here. Thank you for your prayers. Anna, thank you so much. I'm going to tell a bunch of channels that I follow on missing children. Please let me know their information so I can help get their loved ones found. This is all the channels do. This is all these channels do. One is JLR. I'll keep that in mind. Thanks so much, Anna. I truly appreciate you for being here and supporting. These are some of the great people who would love to tell a story. They are for the families of the lost loved ones. Send in your family prayers. Thanks so much. I really appreciate, again, everybody. I really appreciate those prayers. Thanks so much, Melissa, for being here. I really, truly appreciate it. And I think I saw JR speak about this case before. And Jay, I need to look that up. JLR. I will look that up as well. Thanks so much, Anna, for putting that out there. Jason, thank you so much for being here. Keep fighting for your son, Mr. Robinson. There's always hope. Jason Watts, private investigator, volunteer searches for missing people. Jason Landry. And that case was very tragic as well. Jason Landry, I remember that case. It sounds so similar to my son's case. And we got to make sure we are bringing all our loved ones home. PM Channel, thank you so much for constantly being here, being a great support and great help to my efforts to find my son. Hello to you as well. And I really appreciate you. Let's see who I got here. Alyssa, thank you again for being here. Do you believe the man named Ken? No, I do not. I never did. His story do not fit my son's. It don't fit a lot of things. To talk about Ken, it didn't fit my son's phone records. Like I said, he said that my son was there from 9 o'clock to 9:15. My son made a phone call at 9:28, and that text message also asking how to even get that place would not fit that timeline. And also the fact that he changed his story. He told the first officer 9:15, 9 to 9:15, and then he later changed the story to the second officer to the way I only could look at it to say, oh, it was at 9:30. That my son met him on Sun Valley Parkway. So, it's those type things that's really bothers me of that. Also, like I said, everything on this phone don't match the storyline. Also, the fact that I took notes. You guys could look at the picture. I took notes and had eyewitness, hearing witnesses as well to say the things that he told us, the things that he knew this case was going to become national, that law enforcement was going to come looking. He stayed left of the tracks, though it wasn't. I mean, it's impossible to stay left of the tracks to go down these little narrow dirt road, and also the reason why he was doing that. Also, the fact that he's saying it was raining one minute, then the other minute it was going to rain. It is so much. And then if you was to follow his story, it ironically leads you to where the vehicle eventually going to be found. So, it's a lot of that went down. And I say again, law enforcement purposely leaving those things out. They purposely put narratives that my son somehow was depressed. They're purposely sensationalizing this case about a young lady. They're purposely doing a lot of things that I saw, in my opinion. So again, no, I do not believe his story at all. Excuse me, everybody, I'm losing my voice. I've been talking all day, so I'm losing my voice. Mary Ellen, thank you so much. Person missing, but not foul play in a desert. Shaking my head. Yeah, they didn't even try to look at his foul play. My investigator gave them evidence, and this is fun. This is the kicker part, you guys. Before there was any type of forensics evidence, or anything that we collected to give the law enforcement. Law enforcement stance was, for whatever reason, when that vehicle showed up on that scene out there, the first thing that happened, they told the rancher that whatever you do, don't alert. Now, I'm gonna back up a little bit. My searches out there in that desert was almost every day before that vehicle showed up. I had hundreds of volunteers on that ground looking. Some may have went over that area where the vehicle was found, but because we had this thing called hasty searches at the time, everybody's hiking, just looking for Daniel, because we was on a rescue mission. But when that vehicle showed up, like I said, a rancher found that vehicle on July the 19th. He was out there on July the 17th, right there in that same spot where that vehicle found. He said the vehicle wasn't there. And the only reason why he explained to me he was on that ravine where that vehicles are found is that his cattle come through there. He's tracking his cattle. He's a fourth generation cattle rancher. Cattle's going down through that ravine. That's the travel path they go because the least resistance. They go down, go south. It's a corral that's down south where they feed, and they normally head that way. He came through there to see if they came through yet. They have not. So he came back on the 19th. The vehicle was there. And he told law enforcement this. Law enforcement, you see it's not in the report. They refuse to put that in the report because it's against their narrative. It's an eyewitness report. The other part is, when people ask them a question, when they did what they call is a Civil Air Patrol search, they used a aircraft that went over that spot. They had people on the ground over that spot, and they didn't find that vehicle. The vehicle wasn't there, right? But then when people ask them, well, how you did that search and went over this area and the vehicle wasn't there, but now you're saying it was there for 30 days, they say, oh, the lush, it was so thick and brush was so thick and whatever. And if you guys see the picture, there's no brush thick. It's a blue vehicle in the desert. Nothing blue out there in the desert but that vehicle, right? If that was the case. The vehicle wasn't there. The other part is the fact that they what they were saying before they did any forensic work that I requested was they said it was there for 30 days. I'm like, well, how was it there for 30 days? They told me because we found a hard hat with rainwater in it, right? It's 30 days it's full of water. It's full of water. It's 30 days, it rained for 30 days, and the hard hat, I'm laughing because I did a hard hat test, because I'm telling you what gave them away was the fact that there was a business card inside that water in that hat. And that business card was fresh. It wasn't torn. It wasn't, if you put paper in the water for a long time, it started getting mushy. It wasn't none of that. So they kind of messed up on that theory. Make a long story with that. What I'm saying I'm going at is, in my son's case, that my investigator, once I hired them, because their theory was Daniel wanted to join the monastery, become a monk, and that's the reason why he masterminded this whole setup to crash his vehicle down there just to disappear from his family. I got my own private investigator, and that's how we found all the other information. We shared that with law enforcement. We shared the 11 additional miles. We shared the 46 initial cycles. We shared the damage on the vehicle not matching terrain. We shared the red transfer pane, nothing red in the desert. This vehicle was crashed somewhere else and then planted there. Law enforcement refused to accept what we have, and they decided to get their own investigator to say what they want us to hear. The way I take it. So to back up a little bit further, to make you guys understand this case of why it's so complicated, is the fact that even with law enforcement looking at everything that happened at the scene, they didn't want to do forensics at all. Even if with the information that was able to give them, one thing for sure, they was on their stance to say, hey, look, it was there for 30 days. They've been wanting to be there so bad. I say it was the vehicle showed up on July 19th. Here it is on July the 22nd. I had a meeting with Chief Hall and his whole entire staff in their office. And what they did, this is the funny part about it. What they did was say, hey, well, he's the only one driving the vehicle, had to be there for 30 days. They feel like it was there for 30 days. They refused to stop on that. They still was having this little thing where they wanted to keep it there for 30 days for whatever reason they wanted there. Now, when I got out of that meeting on the 22nd, I still had my searchers to look for my son. It was coming up that Saturday. I think that meeting was like on a Wednesday. Then I had to go out to a search on that I already had planned that Saturday. The crazy part about it, during the time, I had a person working for me that had some affiliation with law enforcement. He don't think I know that. I call him almost like a mole. He was there to aid me in my searches. But at the same time, he had real full connections with law enforcement. And what ended up happening, we planned. We always plan every Thursday. We plan out what we're going to do on Saturday, because we want to keep the volunteers safe out there in that desert. We want to make sure we're planning where we want volunteers to be. So we had all that stuff planned out for that Saturday. But when that Saturday morning, he called me, he said, hey, David, I came up, I found a new spot where I want the volunteers to go. There's a bigger area. He called it the quarry area. Volunteers can park out there really good, get more people out. And I was like, okay, that's great. But I didn't know where to go in this area. So he said, we're going through the same gate, but he'll have somebody there to help me get to that gate. And then we'll help the volunteers to get in that area. He was late. He'd never been late before. He was late, and I was trying to figure out what happened. I was able to get the volunteers down in those areas. And lo and behold, he showed up. He often drives a vehicle that looked like a law enforcement vehicle himself. He had one that looked just like his following behind him. And when they got to us, it was Chief Larry Hall at the time. Chief Larry Hall decided, and here it is, my daughter and I was sitting out there. We're a family now. I never, to that point at that moment, did not see Daniel's vehicle where it was. They never took me to the scene where the vehicle was found. They never told me where it was found, other than a map they gave me at the police station, say this is where the vehicle was found. But when he got that vehicle, he looked at me because he saw me in the meeting that Wednesday. Like I said, hey, how you doing, Mr. Robinson? And just walked past me. And then he started yelling out to the volunteers and saying, hey, y'all want to know where that vehicle was found? And my daughter and I looked at each other like, okay, well, they didn't have the decency to show us where the vehicle found. We didn't know where it was found out there in that desert. And so we followed him. He was walking to everybody like the Red Sea, like Moses in the Red Sea. We made it over to the ironically to the place where this guy asked me to bring the volunteers is right over here. You didn't have to walk far. It's right over the hill where the vehicle was found, right? We get into that little area. Chief Hall was sitting there pointing down the ravine to say, oh, the vehicle's right here. I was here and the vehicle was here. and it was here, blah, blah. And then he started telling us some stories about the cartels and kind of giving, I guess, to me, to give everybody out there and myself and my daughter the impression that maybe the cartels did something to my son. He was telling us how the cartels fly their plane out at night and they land on Sun Valley Parkway and drop their drugs and they fly back over to Mexico, right? And so, giving us the impression that maybe the cartels got our son. So, and what ended up happening, the rancher who found Dane's vehicle, him and his wife was there as well. First time meeting them as well. My daughter tapped me on the shoulder. Dad, this guy said he wanted to speak to you. I went to go talk to him. He introduced himself as the person who found the vehicle. He said he was the rancher, and he yelled out real loudly. I don't know why Chief Hall telling y'all that's where the vehicle, it wasn't found there. It was found down here. He pointed down a different ravine. And the reason why I knew he was pointing at the right place because in that picture that law enforcement gave me of that ravine, there was a burnt up cactus sitting there, and as well as the glass on the ground in that picture. And when I looked down that ravine, I seen the glass that was on the ground from the allegedly from my son's vehicle. There's no evidence of that. And when Chief Hall heard him say that, Chief Hall turned red in the face. He shut up immediately and walked past everybody, disappeared in the wind. And for 49 weeks of searches, he never came to a search ever again. And the way I took it as a family member, I took it as Chief Hall came out there to sell that story because they was out there for that whole time from that point, selling the story that my son's vehicle was there for 30 days. Against all evidence, the vehicle was planted there. Against everything, they do everything they can for the public eye to say that vehicle was there for 30 days. For whatever reason, defying the eyewitness of the rancher, defying the evidence of the vehicle that my investigator found and we found about that vehicle, defying the information that I, as a witness, as a father who came, the first thing I did when I got to Arizona is want to look this man, Ken, in the eye to tell me something about my son, that I was a single parent. I know if anybody know my son, I know my son, the way he thinks. Telling me my son somehow came to him and said, I'm sleepy and I want to go back to Phoenix to rest. If my son was that sleepy and he didn't want to be that day, he wouldn't have went to 2 well sites. He wouldn't even went to the first well site, first of all. The other part is the things that he told me that was contrary to what he told law enforcement, and I shared that with law enforcement. You don't see that in the report. They're pick and choose of what they wanted. So what I'm saying is to get to the bottom of this, you guys, is that there's a lot of evidence out there, a lot of evidence of foul play that law enforcement is out of purposely ignoring for whatever reason, and then trying to make sure there's a narrative there to support their theories without evidence, so that it was there for 30 days against their own searches, against the eyewitness of the rancher, against the evidence that's on the vehicle, against the 11 additional miles, the 46 initial cycles. Could you imagine someone cranking up a vehicle 46 times while it's lying on the side? It defies logic. It defies common sense. It defies all of that. But that's what law enforcement wants you guys to stand on. That's what they're standing on concrete on. And not only just law enforcement, not just Buckeye, but it's also a kill of the FBI Department of Phoenix over there. Defying logics for whatever reason. And that's what I have to stand up against. And that's why I constantly need your support. So again, that's what always happened in my son's case. And it made me weary. I'm still fighting. I'm going to continue to fight for Daniel. But I'm going to go back in some of the questions you may have. I see a couple letter Q here. Thank you, T. And thank you so much for your support. Did Ken take a polygraph test? No. I'm going to tell you something, everybody, too. In Daniel's case, Daniel Robinson, geologist Daniel Robinson case, only one person, well, 2 people I know of, even being at the police department, ever being in the interrogation room, and there's only 2 people. Know who the 2 people are? Is myself and my daughter. We're the only 2 people that I know in this whole case who law enforcement took through the back door to put us in the interrogation room and to question us about Daniel's case. Getting information like they told you in the public, say, oh, we obtained phone records. They did not obtain phone records. Know how they obtain phone records? I wish I had the phone. I think I had the phone somewhere here. We had to literally sit on the other end of the table and hold the phone up in the air, and they called that looking at the phone with their eyes, obtain the phone records. That's not police work. Bank records. The family gave us bank records. It's same thing, over the phone and through the phone, holding the phone up. That type deal. It was lazy work. Lazy work. That's the beginning. So what I'm saying is, no, Ken has not been. No one has ever been. They say we question these people. We just ask them whatever they say. They just took it as the gospel, and that's just the way it is. No question about it. They can. They don't say, well, the father said you said this. Because I reported these things. What Ken told me, staying left of the tracks, and he knew that law enforcement gonna come looking, and this thing's gonna go national, and he painted red rocks with paint, rocks with red paint, and all of those kind of things like that. So all of that stuff is not making it in their report, because if it does, it do not match that 30-day thing. That's the point I'm making. Question here, PM channel. Question: has there been any new information from the evidence of your investigation? Evidence still need to be processed or forensic? Yeah, that's the thing. And I'm sure they're waiting on that and they're hoping for that. I have people who holding that vehicle, and I can't be honest with you all. It's costly. It's costly to a point where I have a lot of other things to take care of, and it's almost nearly impossible to maintain keeping that vehicle in storage, and also impossible to keep Daniel's other items in a way, the way I have to store those things. There's two different storages to store those things properly, because Buckeye Police Department has damaged Daniel's case so heavily. Can you guys imagine that when I had that meeting on the 22nd, I believe it's 22nd or 23rd of July, that same day they gave me everything in evidence badge marked for safekeeping, meaning that they didn't do no processing, they didn't do anything. They just grab Daniel's thing, throw it in the bag, and say he's coming back butt naked in the woods with all his clothes in the 118-degree weather. He's come back for his things. I'm giving it to the family. And so what I'm saying is, could you imagine all that stuff that they gave me? Everything they gave me, they damaged Daniel's case. They damaged the chain. It's called a chain of custody. A lot of things I learned just doing an investigation in my son's case on my own. I learned a lot when it comes to how law enforcement supposed to do things. I learned about the chain of custody. I was out there for a while asking you guys help to do forensics on my own in my son's case. Had to start off with the cell phone first, and asking for money to try to do, but I'm glad I did not do the process of all this stuff, because that would further damage the chain of custody. And the reason why I'm saying this, I tried my best to keep the integrity of my son's case. I have not even seen that vehicle personally with my own eyes, but 2 times. And the 2 times I saw it, the first time I saw it with the Buckeye Police Department chief investigator and Detective Biffin, and the second time was with my investigator. But each time, Detective Biffin, for whatever reason, wanted me to touch that vehicle, and I didn't. My investigator at the location where it's stored at, he had to go in there to do some things, and I had to stay back a certain distance. And that's all for the integrity. Like I was saying, the chain of custody had been damaged because they gave that vehicle over to me right after it went missing. I mean, here it is, found on July the 19th. July the 20th, they gave the vehicle over to me. I had to force them to hold it for a few days and to figure out where I'm going to put this vehicle at. But then I ended up having a meeting on the 22nd, 23rd, and then they held it for a little longer to do that fingerprinting thing, what I asked them to do. So what I'm saying is, they messed up. They damaged my son's case. So if someone came and said, "Hey, yeah, I did XYZ," any defense attorney would be able to get that person off by the way law enforcement handled my son's materials. And so that's the point I'm making. And so what I'm trying to do is keep what I can, keep the integrity of Daniel's case. I cannot go out and say, "Hey, I'm gonna get this forensic done at some lab somewhere," because if God forbid, if something happened, the foul play really means that something devastating happened to my son, and somebody's responsible for that. I want to make sure that person's my Daniel get the justice that he deserves in that case. So that's one of the reasons why I'm really hesitant on doing it outside. But at the same time, it's coming to a point where you keep pushing the corner, and I'm sure law enforcement purposely is doing that. He's gonna run out of money to store these things, or he's gonna do it himself, and that'll get some things off the hook. Also, Anna, Orlando, thank you so much for being here. I don't understand why the police didn't take fingerprints. I'm so sorry. I would definitely be telling people that I follow. Well, I never understand that. Like I said, I had to literally ask for fingerprinting because I'm not. When I first met with law enforcement, I don't know what to ask for. I'm a family member. I'm not an investigator, so I know a lot now, but I didn't know then. And the first thing I could think of say, well, fingerprint. And the reason I asked that because they've been smart mouth with me. I'm like, well, how you know my son was even driving this vehicle? And the detective sergeant, I think his last name was Hanneman or something like that. So, where's your son's vehicle? He is obviously he was driving it. I mean, who would say that to a family like I'm some idiot dummy or something? What I'm saying is, if you're a law enforcement officer, that should never come out your mouth. That means that you don't give a care about anything, because the evidence would have been, yeah, how we know your son was driving it. All the airbags in that vehicle was deployed. Let's find out if your son was actually driving this vehicle. Let's that airbag hit something. Airbags, when it hit anybody, is going to take some DNA off. Let's process this airbag and see if it's indeed Daniel Robinson's DNA or somebody else. Let's look at the airbags on the passenger side and see who else been riding in this vehicle with Daniel Robinson, because why the airbag deployed? The back ones, everything, right? So long story short, they're refusing to do that. Just say, look, I was going to swap the steering wheel, and they still, like I said, not processing what they say they swab. I really doubt they really did it, but they say they did. What they have done is ask me like almost a year later, almost 2 years later. Um, I'm just saying, this is some incredible stuff with law enforcement. You swabbed us on in the month of July in 2021. They came to me almost, I think probably almost a year or so later, to ask me, after they realized and they knew that I dismantled Daniel's apartment because we could no longer pay the rent, right? We had to let it go. And dismantled his apartment. As soon as I dismantled his apartment, put his things up, got rid of things. I mean, it was the hardest thing I ever had to do in life, throwing away things that, I don't know if he want or not, those type things, just to make sure we get everything we needed in the storage. It's a very emotional thing at that. But they called me almost 2 years later and asked me, do I have a razor that belongs to Daniel that he was shaving with? So we could compare what they say they did on that door handle to see if it belongs to Daniel. I mean, who was around for years with a person's old razor they've been using on their face or something? I mean, it's stupid stuff like that with law enforcement. When they had the opportunity to do it in 2021, when his apartment was there, they haven't even gone in his apartment to even look for evidence of foul play. My investigator had to go do that. Law enforcement didn't care what happened, despite of the fact of we had evidence there was given to law enforcement at the time that somebody was fumbling around in his apartment. That type stuff. Like I said, they don't want to find these answers, and they'll go to public and say, well, we need more leads. You have the leads, but they don't want to work on those leads. If the point, everybody get what I'm saying. So that's what I've been fighting against for these last 3 years. So again, I don't understand it either, why they would not do certain things, and I'm still fighting for that. Bible study, thanks so much for being here. We'll be praying. God knows the truth, and he does, and he will bring it to light. My darling, thanks so much. Dear Lord, please bring this wonderful young man, Daniel, home soon. Thank you. Amen. Thank you so much. Yeah, he's wonderful to us. Family very much loved by us. We miss Daniel. I know I miss my son. I miss my 2-hour conversations that I have with him every week. I miss his questions, and I even miss him aggravating me sometimes. I miss the everything about my son. So again, and I know his mother do too. His mother's Southern. Just because I tell you guys I was a single parent. Daniel's mother loves him too, and she was there for him too. She's been doing a lot of things herself as well as a mother. So don't think that she was absent in his life, but she wasn't. So I want to make sure people know that it was a very difficult dynamics we had at the time as a family, but definitely Daniel's mother and everybody else close. So they're suffering. They're suffering just as much as I am. His grandmother, he got grandparents on both sides that love him. He got a grandfather. He has cousins and uncles and aunts, everybody, friends, if you name it. We all miss Daniel. We know exactly what type of person he is. And first of all, to the public, Daniel is an American scientist. He's the person that going out there doing a job that a lot of people wouldn't do. I mean, I'll be honest with you, that would be my choice of a job career, going out and mess with pretty rocks or something. I don't know. I would not be out there doing geology work, but he loved that. That's something he enjoyed. Many times, again, to give you an example about Daniel, he go out and go hiking, and his sister, him and his sister go hiking all the time out there in the desert. I mean, out there in Arizona, in those mountains and things they do. They enjoy that stuff. He goes out to some locations by himself sometimes, and he'll tell me, Dad, he'll send me pictures and call me on live. Me, I'm looking at the camera, talking to each other, and he in places. And I'd be honest with you, I used to get worried about it. Like, what you out here? I mean, he's showing me these beautiful places. There's some beautiful places in Arizona. He's out, but he loved that stuff, that nature. He loved that kind of stuff, and and I miss him doing it. I miss him doing it, enjoying his life. Lorraine, thanks so much for being here. T. Hammond, who is Ken, and how is he related to the case? Ken, he's a person that worked with a company called Weber Waterworks. And Weber Waterworks, they're a drilling company. They drill wells often for communities in Arizona by law. Every community built had to have these groundwater wells, and there's a desert state, so they had to get their water from the ground a lot of times, and for the Colorado River. And again, that's the company that actually do the drilling. So that's who he worked for. He don't work for Matrix New World. So when people say Daniel's co-worker, I kind of try to make sure people understand they don't work for the same company. Daniel worked for Matrix New World, also called Matrix Southwest Groundwater. And then also Ken, he worked for a different company called, like I said, Weber Waterworks. Ken is a driller. Daniel's a scientist. He's a geologist. And so, they met. They met that day on the 23rd. It's supposed to be the first time they ever met each other. Mary Ellen, thanks so much for being here as well. Need DNA from the clothes found by the vehicle? Yes, we do. We don't recognize it. Thanks so much, PM Channel, for your question. I can't imagine how difficult it is to live life knowing your son is missing. You have done such an incredible job. How is the rest of the family doing? First of all, the family is doing the best we can. Like I said, it's stressful. It's stressful for a family, of any family who have a missing loved one. I talk to people all the time who have missing loved ones. Very good friends of mine have missing loved ones. Even when family members are found, like the Petito case, Joseph Petito, a great friend of mine, they still have pain when your loved one is even found. You don't want to find your loved one in a bad situation. But also the fact that like a family like myself and a friend of mine like Katrina is her name, we don't have answers. We don't have answers. So every day is very tough. You always want to think positive about your loved one, that they're still here. But then sometimes you have these moments where you wonder if your loved one is gone. So it's those things that it's like having in those moments when you have like birthdays and holidays and that loved one is not there, and part of you a worse scenario coming to your mind, and then there's another positive scenario coming to your mind that the hope is there. So you go through those wish-and-watch. It's hard. It's very hard. So I say the family doing the best they can, as in for an incredible job. Thanks so much for what you're saying. I think any father and mother family would do what I'm doing, trying to make sure we find our loved one. And yes, it's very difficult. So again, I'm gonna keep saying it over and over again to everybody: share a story, because it's a lifeline. That's when you share a story, you might share it to the right person who have an answer and can help that family find their loved one. Matthew Varos, thanks so much for being here. Bro tracking on the phone. Like the ones that was done with the Trump shooter. They was able to see who was near his phone. Yeah, I say it like this, and that's another problem I have. And that's another reason why I'm running for U.S. Congress, everybody. Things are somehow magically available and can happen depending on who you are, what your status is, and things like that. You can have companies that say, hey, this data don't exist. We don't have a retention. That's what T-Mobile Sprint would say. That's what some of these other telecommunications would say. You can't have a cell phone ping like law enforcement would say without a warrant. right? And these companies would say as well, especially when it's a certain circumstances, they'll say, well, we can give this information if it's a child or if it's a person going through, how the word to say that, some circumstances where their life is at risk. And, even in my son's case, what's not at risk when you say a person went out in the West in the desert and got lost, if they want to say that. His life was in danger in 118-degree weather, going out west in the Sonoran Desert he never been into before in his life. You get lost out there, get in a wash, you got the water coming in real fast on these rivers, these dry beds and stuff like that. I mean, there's all kind of wild animals out there. I mean, there's everything, right, that you have to face. But the point, as I'm saying, is, they find information on who they want to. But again, it goes back to what I'm saying. In my son's case, had that been law enforcement vehicle found lying on the side like Daniel's vehicle, almost 30 days after that law enforcement also went out in that desert and went missing, his uniform and everything, his underwear, his gun, his everything lying in a pile, 3 feet away from that police cruiser. I mean, there's no question in the world. Nobody can ever tell me the scenario would have went the same way it is going with my son's case. Nobody can tell me that because it's not true. I almost can guarantee you if it's Chief Hall's son or any one of those officers that went missing the manner my son went missing, we probably would have had the Richland County Sheriff's Officer here in South Carolina sending out an officer to help go find that, send out there to Arizona to go find that officer who went missing out in the sun, and they'll call them all heroes, going out there to look for this one man, that went missing. So what I'm saying is we need the same treatment for everybody. You don't have to have a status, like you said, for what happened with Trump shooter, finding the information you really want to find. The data is there. The information is there. Nothing you put on social media, nothing you put out there, no cell phone information, all that stuff is available. They just don't want to get it. And if it costs them money, then they're definitely not going to do it. They don't see the importance of who you are. They're not going to get it. So we have to fight for it. And that's what I'm going to Congress for, to fight for those things for not just my son, but for all the Americans that's missing out there who deserve to be treated the same quality of care in a case that they would do for their own, the blue. So what I'm saying is that's what I'm fighting for as well. So again, tracking phone is there. The data is there. The information there. I learned a lot dealing with the senators in Arizona. I learned a lot dealing with those telecommunication companies, a lot, their policies that they hide behind and things like that. But at the same time, they sell your data that belongs to you to other people, but they won't give it to you as the consumer who the data actually belongs to. You pay your monthly subscription. It's your data. You should be able to get it anytime you want it and need it. So especially in circumstances like a missing American case. So I would be fighting for that. Again, thank you, Marlon, and thanks so much. P.S. Hit the thumbs up to get that. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And everybody hit the like, share, subscribe button as well. I forget to say things like that. My mind is always on getting the information out, but I never, sometimes neglect to say those things. But definitely want to get Daniel's story out there a lot farther. So it's important for you to hit the like, share, and subscribe, or make a comment, thumbs up, like you're saying there, Marlon. And that helps a lot. That helps with the algorithms to get the story moving, keep it moving. So I really need Daniel's story out there. Also, Lenore Quinn, thanks so much for being here. Why don't they test the clothing? That's weird. And I still holding on to those. I don't know how long DNA stay on things, storing the proper way we can. I can tell you, if anything is ever lost, we only can blame that on law enforcement. We can blame that on the FBI department, Phoenix Air branch office as well. I reached out to them as well. Akil is his name, I believe it is how you say his name. They're all responsible as well. Also, we have T. Hammond, LeRae Hetfield. He was at worksite. Daniel went missing. Okay, yes, here's the guy that claimed that, if you're talking about Ken, he's the guy that claimed to see my son last. There was another person that was debunked, and there's also some stories behind that. But definitely, he's claiming to have been the last person to see Daniel, and his name is Ken. I will put his last name out there, which I could, because he's on HBO giving stories and all this kind of stuff. So he put himself out there. Jackie Benz, thanks so much for being here, praying for Daniel's Fount. Again, need those prayers. Thank you, Melissa. I really appreciate it. JLR Investigates. Thank you so much, Mary Ellen. Anybody else have any questions, please hit those, like I said, that big question mark before your question, capital letter Q, because I'm going to go down a little bit faster, and I don't want to miss anybody. But I see Cher here. Thanks so much for your question. Any background investigation on that man, Ken? Well, I have did my own investigation. I know some information about him. I know a lot about Mr. Kent. But yes, we're still investigating. I know on my behalf, I'm investigating. I can't speak for law enforcement. Like I said, I doubt it. I doubt they're doing it. They just take his word for anything he says. And thank you, Travis, for that super chat. I really appreciate that. I really, again, it helps with the morale. I say this often on my lives. Whenever y'all do the super chat, that really helps. I really really appreciate the support. It really, like I said, right now I'm tired. I'll be honest with everybody. I'm tired. When I have to do the lives and bring up these stories about my son, it's painful to tell my son's story over and over and over again. People say, "How you do this for 3 years, telling that story over and over and over again?" It becomes repetitive. You can do it, but it's painful at the same time every time. Because at the end of it, you're always reminded of the fact that when I get off this live, I have to go back to the reality that I don't have Daniel to talk to. I have to go back if I have that urge and have to hear my son's voice. I have to go back to old voicemails, some video that we recorded, things like that, just to hear Daniel's voice, to remember what it sounds like. Because you say to yourself, you don't want to forget how your loved ones sound, right? And so those are things that we have to rely on just to keep going. And so when I see things like this, it's a morale booster. That's something we like to say in the military. We out there in Afghanistan fighting for the country. We need morale boosters all the time. When we lose a soldier, for instance, and our morale get low, we can't call our families. They give us a blackout. We have to sit around the fob and wait till the family is notified before we can actually call and just call our family members and tell them how we feel, for instance, right? And a lot of times we don't get to do that. We have to keep it pushing, but we need things that boost your morale to keep the fight going, right? To keep it going. So Travis, thank you so much for the super chat, because that keep me going. I really appreciate that. Dory, thanks so much. Abel, thanks for being here. Is there anything we can do here in Phoenix to support your push for law enforcement to look over test evidence? Yes, and this is one thing. I'm glad you say that, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to share screens with you to go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. For everybody who's listening, you can do the same thing. Pleasehelpfinddaniel.com is where you can go to support, to help. And I'm gonna pull it up fast so you can see it here. Pleasehelpfinddaniel.com is where you can go to support and help. First of all, for everybody, and this is for anybody where yet. What I'm gonna tell you right now, you don't have to be in Phoenix, you don't have to be in Arizona, you can be anywhere to support what I'm doing here. Sign the petition. We all can do that. Definitely need everybody to put their voice to this petition. My goal is 150,000. I'm still at 132,229. We need that petition, right? And also, let's say we go back to the website here. We have the volunteer search. That's a tab that's been sitting there when I used to do the searches, so that's still there. In the event if I ever do a search again for Daniel out there, and there's a little small pockets that I never did get a chance to go to. Volunteer to search in other ways. If you need, I need support. I need support from people who have different skills. If you have some skills with, anything, you click on here and all the information there to join in the efforts to help find my son, whether it's marketing to, event planning and things like that. I really need your support when it comes to that as well. So again, that helps. Also, you have to print the flyer, like I was telling you, for those who want to help with resources to help me out, and you want to print the flyers yourself. This is the PDF for that. You could print the flyers out. That would, like I say, again, help. And as well as if you were to request the flyers, this is free of charge for anybody. No matter where you're at, you can send these flyers out. reach those persons. I really need everybody in Phoenix, Arizona, to Buckeye, wherever, across the country, in Florida, Little Whiskey, Georgia, Catskill, New York, wherever, to get these flyers out, because I have had help from people from all across the country. So this flyer, just request these flyers, and we can send these flyers out to you. Like I said, request the flyers are free to you. It won't cost you a dime. If you want to help us out, you can print them out yourself, but it wouldn't cost you a dime to request those. We'll send them out to you. Also, coming down the front of the page, come back to the main screen. And what I'm saying for that question you asked, Dory, there in Phoenix. And then again, this is not just for Phoenix, not just for any place in Arizona. It's also for those any state in this country. Definitely help with the mail-in protests. That will keep law enforcement on their toes. Keep them engaged in Daniel's case. That's what it says. Please download this PDF. The mail-in protest is something I created to. These are picket signs. This is what I would plan to use when I come to Arizona and we have a physical protest. I'm gonna map these as picket signs. We holding these in those locations, but you can send these in letter forms. There's 5 of them. You print them out, and send them out into law enforcement. To these locations here, you see the addresses right here on the right under there. You send it to the Buckeye Police Department. You send it to Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. The Buckeye Police Department would be Chief Sanders. That's the address there. The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office is just Sheriff Russ Skinner. And I'm gonna tell you something for those who are in Arizona, and I want to make sure everybody's aware of this. I hope Sheriff Skinner is actually watching this, because a lot of times I heard that they do follow my lives, and they have been doing that for years. I noticed there are some things that Buckeye and law enforcement have done for Daniel Case, been based on what I say here on these lies. When they start hearing me talk about certain things to cover their own behind, they'll go and cover something, right? So that's one way I was able to get them to do some work as well, is these lies. But what I'm saying is, Sheriff Russ Skinner, he's an elected official, and I can tell you that the Maricopa County Sheriff's Department they're neglecting their duties. And you all should take that in mind when you're going out to vote for him as sheriff. He's neglected his duty. He so much didn't even call me. He didn't give him the courtesy to even call me when I sent him letters. He sent me a generic response to the effects that this case belonged to the Buckeye Police Department. They put their hands in their pocket, and the fact that neglecting their duty as a sheriff department. Anybody, I don't know what state you're in, but most states, the sheriff department supersedes a city cop. The Buckeye Police Department, for instance, the Buckeye Police Department, Buckeye, Arizona, is in Maricopa County, right? And the county sheriffs supersede, and then you got the state police that supersedes everybody. But Maricopa County, my son went missing in Maricopa County, and they are washing their hands of the case. And no matter what I'm saying to them, look, they have the facility to process that vehicle. That's y'all tax dollars, and Dan's tax dollars as well, my tax dollars as well, when I was living in Arizona, to fight for my son, goes to that facility that they got. They have received what is called a rapid DNA processing center that even DPS, the Department of Public Safety, don't have in Arizona. But they have this facility to rapidly do a DNA test, and they refuse to rapidly find information about Daniel's vehicle on the clothing, the airbags, I'm saying everything I was mentioning earlier. So we need to start looking at how and who they choose to, who Sheriff Russ Skinner is choosing to help. Despite the fact I've been out there for 3 years fighting for my son, brought my son's case, took me 3 months to put my son on the national level, and to really be advocating for my son's case. Not saying he needs special treatment. What I'm saying is, despite of all of that, the efforts I had to do to fight, the many meetings I had with Sheriff Pinzone at the time, who he replaced, it's disrespect to me as a person who brought closures. And not even only that, I solved the case for the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, found a stolen car out there in that desert for them, right? And just the fact of the disrespect that I have from Sheriff Skinner should make anybody alarmed and say, hey, look, do you want this person as your sheriff? And I'm not going to be the person to say, look, who you should vote for, things like that. Because you know what, I'm going up to be up for election as well in November 5th. What I'm saying is, if I had my way, I would be up there with my picket signs against his election. And the reason why is because he's not being fair. He's not being fair to those people that he's supposed to be serving. He's serving himself. He's being self-serving, and it is something that you guys should consider when you're deciding who your next sheriff should be in for Maricopa County in Arizona. So again, I will keep speaking out to that. I will continue to do so, and I will let you know if Sheriff Skinner ever reach out to me and do what's right and make sure we get this vehicle processed in the facility that taxpayers pay for, this facility that my son Daniel paid for, and make sure that this stuff is getting done. Because like I said again, I don't know what their hold up is and what they're trying to achieve. But I'm doing everything I can to not let that happen. That's why I really constantly engage everybody in the public for your support, because I need that support. Because as long as I don't have that support, then somehow I feel like law enforcement will win on that battle, and I would not allow that to happen. Not on my son's case when he's out there somewhere and he deserves this justice that he needs. So again, consider that. But that's the way you can help. That's the way you can help, Dory. I really appreciate it for the question. Also, thank you so much for being here. Marlon, thanks so much. Travis, thank you so much. I haven't been here in a while, but I have not forgotten about you and Daniel. I donated to your GoFundMe just now. Oh, thanks so much. And I sent the $1 super chat just to let you know. Thank you, Travis. I really appreciate you. God bless you. I really appreciate your support, your love support. Like I said, again, it's definitely a morale boost and help with our family. I truly appreciate that. Even after 3 years, everybody's there supportive. I really appreciate it. Alyssa, thanks so much for your question. Have you tried to push this case to the FBI? Yes. His name is Akil again. He's over the FBI field office, Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah, I pushed out to him. I went to the Justice Department. I went to the Attorney General's office, everywhere. I've been fighting with everybody in Arizona for these 3 years. I got a little distance with the Justice Department. So I think some of the movement I actually seen came from after I had lunch with the attorney with the Justice Department. I seen a little movement with some of that stuff, but when it came to the FBI, Mr. Akil, they act like glorified cops. Like I said, again, what I was saying, their movements have been, and he happened to this date, even himself, have to date to even address me. They didn't even speak to me. He hide behind the shadows and do his work behind the shadows. And I'm talking to the FBI director there, hide behind the shadows, haven't ever had the decency to come out to even address me as a father who's been out there working. He's talking to me through the non-action that he want to do when it comes to my son, and hide behind. I have to be invited into this case. I have to, that kind of language, that kind of thing. Oh, I talked to Buckeye Police Department here on one side of the story, and not understanding that everything we know about my son's case did not come from the Buckeye Police Department. It came from my investigation. Everything in Buckeye have claimed came from my own investigation. They have not produced anything but a search. So I want people to understand that. And I'm telling you, it's a poor search. Poor search. What I want to say, and I am criticizing law enforcement search for my son. And I'm telling you the reasons why. First of all, they used Silver Air Patrol, and they went over the area where this vehicle was initially going to be found. They went there before it was planted there. Came up empty-handed. Matter of fact, they put the map out where they searched, and people saw in real time. They searched that very spot where that vehicle, but they said the vehicle ain't there. They ain't found no vehicle. His vehicle ain't been found, and that's why people ask the question. Well, after the vehicle was there, they're like, "Well, y'all searched there. How y'all missed it?" They said, "Oh, the lush it was so brushed, we just must have missed it." No, they did. The other part is with the search they have when that vehicle was found out there, and they told that rancher, whatever you do, don't tell law enforcement. Don't tell the family, and don't alert the media that this vehicle found. Though the media was putting it out there at the time, the local media, and I was pushing really hard for coverage with the local media, and they just started sharing Daniel's story locally. they didn't want nobody to know about the vehicles out there. Whatever they're doing out there desert that whole day, they claim they were searching for Daniel with all these cadaver dogs. When the rancher, he said he'd been out there, they only had one dog, and that one dog came out at 10 o'clock at night. They was out there for 30 minutes, and they pulled the dog back and took him away because they said mountain lion was stalking them. He said they didn't have. I mean, he told me it was only a handful of officers out there. And I'm telling you the crazy part about it, stuff they sent me, the pictures they sent me from the drone. He said there wasn't no helicopter out there. They said they did a helicopter search. No helicopters out there. He said he told me they did drones, and everything they sent me backs up his story because they sent me drone footage. I'm making a long story short. Well, I'm saying that the second search, the search they did out there after the vehicle showed up, they claimed they had all these cadaver dogs from the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, these search dogs and all that kind of stuff. And they told me they ain't found nothing, no footprints coming from the scene, nothing tracked Daniel, nothing out there in the desert, right? Then we went out there to search that same area. We found a human skull out there a few hundred feet from where they claim they searched with these cadaver dogs, these trained dogs they got now. We used our own dogs and found and our dogs that I brought into my searches pinged on a tree that they only go after human, I hate to put that out here, but they're going to, human smells after a person is deceased. 2 separate dogs I had sent out there for my searches, peeing on the same tree in that location. Make a long story, we found other human remains out there. They haven't, law enforcement, since they've been out there searching for Dan, haven't found their own face out there. Not a construction cone, anything. But we've been finding it. We found, like I said again, found a stolen vehicle, found other human remains, bring closer to other families. They knocked that down to 1 or 2 human remains, which it was 7. But we can argue that to our face turn blue. But that's what law enforcement did to try to bring down that crime statistics. But what I'm saying is they haven't produced anything. They haven't produced 11 additional miles on the vehicle. They never produced the red transfer paint. They never produced the 4 to 6 initial cycles after. They never, there's all of that. Nothing came from law enforcement, but only thing they came from law enforcement is saying the vehicle's there for 30 days. That's what they've been going out there. That's what they whole agenda is. Outside of that, they don't want to hear nothing else. They don't want to hear about eyewitnessing somebody running out of. There's another thing you guys don't know in the public. I'm putting it out now. A vehicle fleeing from Daniel's apartment complex with 4 white guys in it that looked just like his vehicle before, right after he went missing, before the vehicle showed out on that desert out there. I didn't know it at the time. I wish we got a license plate number, but flew out of his apartment complex. They're not putting in the information about his apartment. The evidence we got from the Tempe Police Department that I was able to convince to do forensics on his electronics, to say somebody was in his apartment looking through his computer files and doing all kinds of stuff on his computer after he went missing. You guys won't hear about that. So because it don't match what the narrative is about this 30 days is what I'm going at. So yes, I tried to push this to the FBI. I tried to push out even the fact with the FBI that I have gotten death threats, to the fact that I had to walk around like a cowboy in Arizona. It's open carry state. I had to walk around like a cowboy every day of my life while I was out there because I had death threats just for being out there in the desert searching for my son. And so what I'm saying is, and the FBI told me, oh, well, we're making a report of it, but it's the Buckeye Police Department. They had to, since your son went missing, you have to go through them and we come look into who's trying to kill you, basically, right? And I did that, and the Buckeye Police Department to this date haven't went to the FBI to get them involved to find out who was giving me death threats. So I'm saying to me, it was a hard work for me to be out there for 3 years fighting for my son, and people don't know half of what's been going on in the background that I had to deal with every day just to be out there in that desert. I knew I had enemies among me when I was out there in that desert for 49 weeks and covering those land. I had to even deal with someone on my team that was doing some things that I had to deal with that people don't know half of the story that was going on when you have to look for your loved one out there in that desert or any place. I'm sure other families probably had to go the same thing. But I went through a lot to try to find Daniel, look for my son. So long story short, the FBI was very unhelpful. They went to the Buckeye Police Department. when I asked for the FBI to come in with the Buckeye Police Department at the beginning, I had my attorney to request that for me. Chief Hall at the time said, yes, he's going to call the FBI in to do a case review of Daniel's case. And she sent an immediate response to that and said, well, Mr. Robinson need to be a part. I can be a part if you don't want me to be a part, but Mr. Robinson need to be a part of that. They did not respond to that request. They did it behind my back, called the FBI. Like I'm telling you guys, it sounds really fishy to me. The FBI came behind my back, and then they called me a few days after that and said, oh, yeah, we had this case review with the FBI. And the FBI, and this is exactly what he told me on the phone. I have a recorded call. The FBI said, you, Mr. Robinson, are doing such a great job on your own. We don't have to come in. I'm out there in the desert doing a better job than the FBI. That's basically what I heard, right? So that was really hurtful to my family because I was out in the public telling the public that the FBI is getting my son's case. They're going to look at my son's case and find out what happened. It didn't happen. They did it a second time. Buckeye Police have doing such a great job, we ain't even going to look at it. You know, that type thing. And so, like I was saying again, it's the FBI office in Phoenix, Arizona. That's a problem. And so, yes, I don't have any faith in that department either. So, yes, it never happened. Then we have the DC to even sit. Oh, yeah, and I want to back up real quick. And another thing for you, Alyssa, when it came to the FBI, is the fact when myself and Larnell Farmer is his name, went into the FBI to find out who the agent was that did this case review with the Buckeye Police Department, and asked him how we wanted to find out as a father, find out how he came up with them I'm doing such a great job on my own. Just question him about that. And I promise you, we called them, they knew it was coming. And we got there, we came out the parking lot. They have a guard shack that you have to check in first before they let you inside the FBI building. They never let us in the building. They treated us like we was a criminal. They had us in there in this little guard shack. That agent came with 2 armed guards with him, and when I literally said, and I opened my mouth to say, "How you doing, sir? My name is," and before I could get my name out, he said, "I know you." Started yelling me down. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? I'm about to get arrested just for, what's going to happen? I didn't know what happened. I don't know if I was going to get shot, arrested, or what's going to happen. But that's the treatment I got. Got yelled at, didn't get no answers, nothing. Walk out of a guard shed. They ain't had the decency to let me in the building, the FBI building. And that's the treatment I got from the FBI field office in Phoenix, Arizona. So the thing is, the FBI is not helping in Daniel's case as well. All right, just unprofessional, Mary. Yes, it is. Also, and I'm going to say this up again. I'm not anti-police at any straight. And I'm going to say this to people all the time. I say this in my whole efforts to find my son for these 3 years. I'm not anti-police. We need law enforcement, and there's a lot of officers doing a great job out there and doing the right work. But at the same time, I would not allow, especially in my son's case or any other case, for law enforcement to do half work, treat people like they feel like they can treat people, and get paid for free. It is not going to happen, not in my watch. So, especially in my son's case, I would not. So I'm not, and I'm saying, when I say these things about my experiences, those are real experiences with law enforcement. These are things that actually happened, and the things that was said to me, and the things that was done. And what I'm saying is this experience in life to say, look, this is real. This is exactly what happens when you out there trying to fight for your loved one, and you have to deal with certain officers and things like that. Not bashing law enforcement, because we need them, and we're saying that some are doing great jobs, but it so happened the Buckeye Police Department is not one of them, and it so happened that the FBI field office and also Maricopa County in Arizona is not doing what they could, right? So again, I'm going to put it out there up front. I'm not anti-police. So I want everybody to know that. So again, but I had to put it out what's really happening. Phil, thanks so much. Is there a website with search area and all the information? Well, my website, I can't tell you. I was having let me put that back up real quick. Let me see if I can get this back up real quick so you can see this. Phil, I can tell you this right here. You'll see the sector map here. It may not work anymore because this map was created. I was utilizing Matrix New World was helping me with that in the past to utilize their mapping system. really was owned by someone else, and a lot of the stuff got erased, right? So this is a gist of this. Is some of the area you can see here where we searched for my son. And Sun Valley Parkway, let's see if I can get closer there so you can see what I'm talking about, if I can get there. This is Sun Valley Parkway right here, right? And this area, let me see if I can move it around. Let me see if I can find Cactus Road. Yes, here we go. So this would be Cactus Road, where my son met Ken right here at this area right here, if everybody can see that. And we met him on that roadway. The Sun Valley Parkway goes, they used to call it Road to Nowhere because it's a stretch that's real far. And he met my son and they drove into the Cactus Road junction. But really it's another road that kind of goes this direction. But to give you a gist of that, he met him on Sun Valley Parkway and Cactus Road. Cactus Road is here, but it's another dirt road that's probably right up in here somewhere. And it goes into 1 mile west and then 2 miles north to get to that well site. And what I can tell you that these markers here, these would be markers here that will tell you where the vehicle's found, and also there was a area right here. It should tell you where the vehicle's found, and also where the vehicle was located, as well as the well site location. But all the stuff, like I said, this map hadn't been updated. It's outdated and everything else because I haven't been using it for a while, and I'm sure it makes you knew where they had to redo it because they deleted a lot of stuff. And so I had to talk to them to put at least the map of some of the areas that I searched, so we can kind of build back on that. We haven't been working on it, but that's the areas where you can look at on that site to see where I searched. I can, for those who may want to know where those vehicle location and things like that, I put a lot of that on the videos and things I create. But if you go to ask the question, you can send a inquiry on that. I can send you the ping locations where those areas are located, so you can get an idea. You can place it back on this map, on this grid, and find out exactly where they were. Those areas, the place where the vehicle was found, and as well as, and I can probably pretty much tell you, I guess, just looking at the map, because I know this area like the back of my hand almost. I've been out here in this desert so much, I can almost tell you where everything located in this map. So again, that's what you look at there, sir. Phil. Also, thank you, Carla, for your help as well, for joining in with us. You said there is definitely foul play, and he was put in one of the wells. I hope not. And I'm gonna go back on that well. I'll answer that in a minute. We had that happen here in Utah. Who did it? What's the big Q, and why? It's almost like someone didn't want him in the area for some reason. Okay, it's a couple of things I want to say about that, Carla. Now, I have been, problems I had with that well site that I told Daniel was last seen at. Even that didn't match what was told to me. 1 mile west, 2 miles north, do not take it to the well site. They claim that Daniel was missing this. Plus, the diameter of that well would be hard for a person to get down in that well without being dismembered, right? And the other part is it didn't match Ken's story that 1 mile, 2 miles north. The 2 miles north will take you to the second well site where many of you know, if you look at some of my old videos, please help find Daniel YouTube channel, you'll find the old videos where I found the well north of that through my searches. And that made more sense with the 2 miles because it take you right there at 2 miles. And also the fact that, I had begged and plead law enforcement to check the well out, both of the wells. I have Lieutenant Angel is his name on a live video on my YouTube channel, admitting that Buckeye has never been to those wells, right? And it stuns me that they tell the public they search the area, and they use words. They use these words to say, I call it the words I like to say. They use trick words. No, we was out there searching for Daniel on June the 23rd. Officers out there in the area, the desert area, searching for him. We was out in the desert. No, I have Dr. Officer Cruz at the time. All this recorded stuff. Officer Cruz at the time, him and another officer working that night, he told me himself that he was riding up and down Sun Valley Parkway. Never went in the desert, up down Sun Valley Parkway, because he explained to me, I didn't know anything about Sun Valley Parkway. He explained to me this is a long road. You want to make sure Daniel got stuck on the side of the road somewhere. So they're riding that road all night to go see if he's stuck on the road somewhere. Then I found out later as we was talking that no, he went missing inside the desert. And I asked Officer Cruz, they need to get out there and look for my son. And this is what he told me, an Army veteran, right? They tell me all kind of crazy stuff. We can't fly a helicopter at night. We'll do it in the morning. I know that ain't true. We fly helicopters at night in Afghanistan without lights and everything else. We have different kind of light, but you know what I'm saying. And what I'm saying is, when it came to that well, we get back to the well part. I found that well site that matches what Ken's story was, the 2 mile north. And so I started asking law enforcement to search this well. I didn't trust Ken. I don't like his story. Didn't make sense. And something foul play happened. You need to look. It took forever. It took me a hard time to get law enforcement to agree to come out there and say they're going to search these wells. By the time they came out, the companies started coming in because they get ready to develop that area out there. They came and put a machine on that well they claimed where Daniel went missing, not the one that's 2 miles away. And they said, well, we can't do this because they got the machine on it. We're going to get them to try to get them move the machine that was pumping water out of that well, right? This big old machine. They had pulling water out that well in this big old tank. And that tank should have been checked. But the whole point is they did that. That was their excuse. But I said, okay, well, about the second well site that's north of that matches that 2 miles, they finally agreed to do it. They lied to me came out and one of my searchers lied to me, said they was going to do it then in front of all the volunteers. They didn't do that. They called me during a weekday and decided to say we're going to do it on a weekday. Nobody else around. I brought Mr. Farmer again with some other retired law enforcement officers. And we went up there to meet Buckeye Police Department up there when they did this so-called searching of that well. And I say so-called, again, I'm not bashing law enforcement, but I was unsatisfied. And because I'm not bashing law enforcement, I treated them very well to the public because I was doing a lot of heavy engagement here on social media, and I was even doing lives that day. And so what I did was I watched them take a makeshift camera, makeshift string thing they got going on to go down in that well with these guys, this older gentleman, I can't got where they're from. I think they call themselves the posse or something to the effects of that, sheriff posse or something. And they had this makeshift camera, and they went down in that well, and that camera barely touched the water. They pulled it back out. They was pissed because the camera got wet. It barely touched the water. They pulled it back out and said, nothing to see here. I was angry. Because that's not how you look for a person in a well, right? You got to go down in the well. You got to go down in the water. So when they did that, I kept from looking like I'm bashing the police. I went on social media and say, well, Buckeye Police Department went and looked in the well, and they said there was nothing there, right? But I was angry. I went and got my own person to go in. I found my own company to go down in that well to search it. And they did it properly with a submergible camera. And I found a company who does that for a living. That's what they do, go down in those wells. And that company went in, and the only way I was able to do that to that well, because at that time, the owners of that well said they didn't want me in there. And the only way I was able to do that is convince them is to the company that was going down in that well to give them a free inspection of that well. That free inspection allowed me to go into that well, both of those wells, not just that one, but the other one that law enforcement claimed because of that machine was on, to go down in those wells, to search those wells myself. And when I went down in those wells, several things were found. And this guy told me he found a lot of things that shouldn't be there. He was even suspicious. He said out of all the years he ever did this, it was very weird that these things was in that well. Everybody who wanted to know about that well can look at the old videos, but I'm going to give you a gist of what happened. When you go down, and I'm going to have to do it from the bottom up because then you can understand what we saw. Because if I go from the top to the bottom, bottom won't make no sense. But let's pretend the camera's down in that water. And this water was, that well was deep, almost 1,000 feet deep. It's like 900 feet deep. And we're down in that well. And the bottom of that well, we saw something like a human skull. It's right there under the dirt, right? And I'm gonna go high in sight. I sent it to ASU University Science Department. I went to there's another science department. I believe it was in I forgot another state. It could have been Missouri somewhere. But these science departments, they were concerned about it. They didn't want to fully say it was a human skull, but they said the diameter could be in that dirt that was sticking outside this dirt. But what I learned is that someone dumped tons of dirt down in there because you could see because they had these fence poles. There's some fences outside that well missing. These fence poles was down in there. I say to weigh something down, but it was down in there. And you know how the fence poles almost like a cross. The dirt mound was sitting on top. That means that it was down there first. Then the dirt was thrown in there. That's why it was a mound on top. And the dirt filled up and covered something. Then they not only that, they sent in a big pipe. They put a wood, big old wood in. If anybody know anything about train trestles, and there'll be a big, heavy, thick wood that goes under the train track. It was a half one down in there, and it got kind of stuck. So they sent a big old heavy bunch of big pipes was sitting outside that well. One of them was missing. That one was down in there, but it got stuck because of that wood. It was large sideways, and it couldn't go any further. So it was a lot of stuff in there to attended to the way we saw it is to hide something. And the mound of dirt where the dirt came from, it was a mound of dirt sitting a few hundred feet away from that well. And that dirt is the dirt that was in that well. Why would somebody do all of that? But then with law enforcement, after I made a big stink about it, the FBI wouldn't do anything about it. I went on News Nation to everybody to try to get law enforcement to do something. And I finally got Buckeye Police Department again, secretly. Detective Bifford called me one day, I guess from all the pressure I put on them, called me one day and says, oh, yeah, he called me for some unrelated thing. And he said, oh, yeah, by the way, we was out there today. We went inside that well that you say you saw the human skull. We pulled all that stuff out of there with nothing. We found nothing. And what they did on social media, what made me angry, you didn't see the wood, you didn't see the foot poles, you didn't see that they put something on a camera that, like, I call it pocket change. Oh, this is all we found in the well, And so, long story short, yes, I have been did my job, not only the well, Carla, I also did my job to search some mines that was there. We had some vertical mines that Buckeye was calling wells, but they actually was vertical mines out there. There's some other dangers out there in the desert. So when you say that, there's a lot of things supposed to be in search and law enforcement wouldn't do it. I couldn't get the permission from BLM to do it. For those who don't know, it's Bureau of Land Management to go out and search these vertical mines. That's some of the things when I say on Police Help Find Daniel, if I do any searches again, it would be to those vertical mines that's out there, those prospect mines and things like that from the gold rush days to search, right? Get experts to do that. I couldn't get anybody. I had companies that were willing to do it for me, but I couldn't get the okay from BLM. And the reason why I couldn't get it from BLM even shut down on me, is because I argued with law enforcement on the location of the vehicle. The vehicle's found on federal land, right? And that's why the FBI should have been in my son's case. And if law enforcement say, no, it was on private property, it's on this side of the line, right? And if you better know where that vehicle was found, let's say I was wrong. I'm just saying, but I wasn't because I went by what they gave me. BLM sent me a map. And when they sent me a map, they messed up. They sent me a map that put my son's vehicle on their property. But when they found out, when I gave them the coordinates to find out, when they did that, they shut me down and say, oh, we need to speak to your attorney or whatever. You need to get an attorney and this and that. They didn't want to talk to me anymore. And then law enforcement saying it wasn't on their land. But I can tell you like this. Let's say it wasn't on BLM land. You can literally take less than 100 paces, probably not even that, and you'll be on BLM land if you go west, right? And what I'm saying is that close proximity to federal land by paces with your feet should have put the emphasis on FBI, the federal government, into my son's case. And they haven't done that. And this is the kind of misjustice that I've been having in Daniel's case for a long time now. And so, again, part of my congressional run is to alleviate some of those problems that we have in it, because it can happen not just to my family, it can happen to many other families. So, again, I want to say that I throw it in. I know that was off from the well, but those are some of the things I have when it comes to dealing with law enforcement when it comes to that kind of stuff. Can you sue the Buckeye Police Department for failing to do proper investigation? I'm not going to say anything about that yet, but you know what? They should be, and I'm not going to say anything about that for reasons. But thank you, Carla. Lenore, thank you for being here. Contact SY was a C Ray. He's on YouTube. He can help with the cell phone. Thanks so much. I really appreciate that. And write that down, that name, because I would get off of here and will not have it. Okay. So thank you so much. All right. And also, let's see who else I got. Vicky Moore. I'm going to get off everybody in a little while. I've been on 2 hours. I'm doing what I used to do in the past, be on for a long period of time, but which is great because I really enjoy engaging with you all. And I really thank you again for your support. Vicky, thanks so much. Prayers that he has found. Thank you again. I need those prayers. Thanks so much, Marlon. Thanks so much. And let's see who else I got here. Okay, thank you, Mary. Again, did the car get returned to you, wiped down on inside? Well, I'm saying like this. A couple things with that vehicle. I'm glad you're bringing the vehicle. We're going to go back to that a little bit. Now, that vehicle was returned to me the day after it was found. It was found on July the 19th, July 20th. When they brought me they didn't even tell me where the vehicle was found. They brought me to the police station. Wouldn't even let me in the building. Came in the parking lot. Detective Biffin took a folder. He put on the dashboard, it's the hood of his truck, and he pulled out 3 things. Out that folder. He pulled out 2 maps and 1 picture. The first picture you guys see in the public, I put that on the public. That's what you saw. He gave me the picture, but before he gave me the picture, he pulled out 2 maps and he said, "This is where your son went missing. Give me geolocation. I'm a military guy, so I can understand mapping." We looked at it, but it wasn't helping me because I want to go to see where this vehicle. I thought that was what he was going to do, show me where this vehicle found. Because he called me up to the police department and said, "You want to? We have found your son's vehicle, that stuff, and you want to come see where your son's vehicle's found?" I'm like, "Yeah." In my mind, you take me to the scene of the crime, and he didn't do that. It was at the police department in the parking lot. He showed me the picture and started telling me what they think. They said, "There's a son's vehicle that don't look like on the picture, but it's a 20-foot ravine line on the side." He was moving the hand around like this. The son's vehicle flipped and rolled and twisted and land on the side. The good part, though, Mr. Robinson, is that he didn't sustain any injuries. But then he was wearing a seatbelt. And the reason why we know he's wearing a seatbelt because the way seatbelts lock when it's in an accident, right? And then he says he didn't sustain any injuries because we didn't see any blood in the vehicle. We didn't see with our eyes any blood in the vehicle. But the same sentence, but we believe he had a severe brain injury, right? And he said because of that, he kicked his way out of the sunroof, and he pointed at the picture. He said, "See this glass on it? That's where the glass came from that sunroof." Now I'm gonna say in hindsight, Jeep Renegades don't have a sun glass roof. But anyway, we'll put that to the side for now. He kicked his way out of the sunroof, and he got outside the vehicle, and he started telling me something that I know more about than he should know about because I'm a military guy. But he said he had this brain injury, and brain injuries will make you feel hot. You feel hot all over, and you shred your clothes off because you want to get cool off. And he shred his clothes off, and that's why the clothes was 3 feet away from the vehicle in the pile. And he walked off naked in the desert and to go find a tree to cool off under. And he got up under that tree to cool off, and a wild animal probably got him and ate him. That's what he told me. That's what you're telling a family member about his son. It devastated me, right? And it took me a while to get my composure together. Then he said, "Hey, you want to see where this vehicle was found? I mean, you want to see this vehicle, actually. You want to see this vehicle?" I had to know. I want to go to the scene to find out what happened myself. And I followed him. He ended up going to another location, which the police part of the police department, Buckeye Police Department, was where they keep all their vehicles at. And he said, well, you can park right here in the front. I'm gonna let you through the side gate. And I got my vehicle, come around the side gate to get into the back. He said he was gonna let me in. And when I came through that gate with him, he stopped me before we got to the corner of the building. He said, I've seen cases like this before. Family think their loved one is missing. And then he told me about some woman who the family thought that she was missing. Turned out she left to become a nun. And he said, well, not necessarily saying about Daniel, but he probably just, what if he just left to join, want to be away from you all to join the monastery, become a monk, right? But, I heard what he's saying to me was offensive to me, but I was so worried about what I'm going to see with this vehicle that he showed me in this picture. It didn't really sink into my head at the moment. And so he opened his gate up, and they complex had all these torn up vehicles out there, like a junkyard almost to me. But it was all lined up against this gate. And he pointed out, that's your son's vehicle over there. And mind you, I tell you all, I have never seen Daniel's vehicle at that point in real life. The picture you all see, that pretty picture of him, his vehicle, the clean picture, the pretty picture looking brand new. That's the picture Daniel gave me, and I shared with the public that he gave me, because when he first bought that vehicle, he showed me that picture. He sent it to me on my phone because he's so proud of that vehicle. That's the first thing he ever bought for himself. But it was a sign of his adulthood. He's proud of that. And the reason I'm smiling, because he and his brother and his sisters too was under the vehicle with me to learn how to fix vehicles. And he utilized that skill when he first got to Arizona and got him what I call as a hoopty, a little regular little car. And he kept it running just to get to work on time. And then he finally saved enough money on his own without asking me and his mother. And he bought his own vehicle. He bought that Jeep. He got that Jeep. And he was proud of that vehicle. And so I only seen it from that picture standpoint. When he pointed out, I still don't know what he's talking about. And he said right there, and I saw that vehicle the first time from that distance, it was devastating. Only thing I could see that my son got hurt in there. He's dead. Something happened bad to him. That's what the vehicle looked like in person, right? And so I was stunned. I couldn't move. I was so shocked to see what I saw with my eyes. It was so shocking to me. I couldn't get my muscles to move. He said, yeah, go on over there and look inside for some reason. And I just couldn't move. I was stiff. So he started walking forward, and I started walking with him. And we got about 3 feet away from the vehicle. He said, yeah, go. And the airbag was hanging out the driver's door. Hey, lift the airbag up and look inside, and I couldn't move. And then so I guess he got frustrated. He lifted the airbag up and saying something about the inside. And then he opened up the back door, and that's when I noticed an NYPD bag sitting back there. And I'm like, what's that? And he said, I don't know what it is. And he went inside, reaching, and he started dumping the contents that I can't remember what it was. And so that's when I had enough. I said, hey, sir, I don't mean to harm. I can't take no more of this. I need to get out of here. And he said, well, you need to get the vehicle out here today. If you don't, we're going to have it towed away and you're going to pay storage fees. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not from Arizona. I don't know my son's creditors. Can you give me a moment? Can you give me a couple of days to find out where I need to send this vehicle or whatever? And I had to beg a grown man to hold that vehicle for 3 days, to give me 3 days. He said he agreed to hold it for 3 days. I called him back to get him put a tarp on the vehicle because I heard it's supposed to rain. And in that meantime, that's when I had that meeting with them. But like I said, that vehicle was given to me the day after that vehicle was found. So I asked them to hold it for me 3 days. But in that 3 days, I had a meeting with Chief Larry Hall, who I ended up letting him hold it even longer to do that fingerprinting and that I asked for, but they ended up doing that swabbing or whatever. Now, I can give you another thing, Mary Ellen, about Daniel's case as well. When I went to that meeting, they gave me all Daniel things. And then he handed me, not inside evidence, but he handed me Daniel's cell phone, right? And Daniel's cell phone was missing the memory card, not the SIM card, you guys. So some people ask me that to get confused. SIM card was, his phone still worked at the time. It was missing the memory card, and it was wiped. When you say the word wipe, and that's the reason I'm bringing this up. It was wiped of his Google history, Google, anything you could track to say where his phone was located, it was wiped. Everything about Caitlin, you guys heard of the story about the young lady. it was white. Only thing that wasn't white about her was her phone number in her name and phone number. But everything, the conversations, the only reason why I know that her conversations don't match what she's saying to what y'all read in that report to Daniel's phone records, because we had his phone records from day one when he went missing, because his sister owned that account, and we was able to get the text messages. We can't see what the text messages say, but we get the timestamp, and everything the Buckeye got in the report with that timestamp based on that phone record do not match. But they're selling that to the public, and they saying that's the truth, and it's not. And the latest story is the truth. So long story short, I'm saying is a lot of things are white when it came to that cell phone. And I was fortunate to be able to get Google, because I was able to get, because my children know each other's passwords. So I was able to get certain things back from Google that would show a lot of things. I could tell you something I'm going to leave with the public now that I probably release it for the first time, is the fact that the day before Dan went missing, his cell phone showed that he was around the Levine area. It was running around all the way up until 1 o'clock in the morning. The day that morning, the same morning that he was going to that well site, that first well site. So, but it's not in their report. It's not in law enforcement report. It's not matching the store that he was at, this gas station pumping $3 and something for gas, and he got an SUV. It's not the fact that the vehicle was sitting on the side of the tank where his nozzle can't go inside the vehicle, that type thing. So and the picture that law enforcement gave me was a blurry picture that you don't even know if it's Dan's vehicle or not. These some random vehicle at a gas station say that was his vehicle around that time when the so-called the day, there wasn't the time, but the date that this gas had been pumped, right? I mean, this purchase at, not only say gas, this purchase of $3 or something at a gas station was done, and they blame it, saying it was gas. Like my son have an SUV getting $3 of gas, and he had I'm not gonna say how much he had in it, but it was well over $1,000 in his bank account. Why would he have $3 or something of gas, right? So the point is, I'm saying this is kind of the foolishness that law enforcement are running with for the public, for whatever reason. The only way is a person like me could think of some type of cover up. All right. So other part is, can the FBI be called in? Again, I tried that, and the FBI and the field office had to be the national FBI, somebody else. It cannot be Phoenix FBI department. I don't trust. I see his corruption with that too as well, in my opinion. Every missing person case should be treated as foul play and treated as a crime scene investigation. And I say the same thing. I agree with you, Marlon. I've been advocating for that. Law enforcement to treat every case the same. Law enforcement treat every case as the worst case scenario and work your way back to that nothing ain't happened. This person want to disappear. Like I say about Daniel, he's a grown man and wanted to disappear on his own. Yeah, you work when a family come out and report their loved one missing. They're not run out. Someone in my household ran out 10 minutes ago, and they left, and they've been gone for a few hours. I'm not running the law enforcement and say, "Oh, they're missing." I'm doing my due diligence. Like, oh my God, that's unusual. I'm calling friends, families, checking their cell phone, doing this. We're doing all the legwork for law enforcement. If that's what families do. We do our due diligence first, then we run out of all options, and we know, like, no, this is not our person. That's when we call law enforcement. Law enforcement job is not to determine something about somebody they know. Yeah, that's a grown person. They can disappear if they want to. How you know they wanted to disappear? That's not your judgment call. You go by what the family says. Hey, my person is missing, and you treat it that way. You treat it as a worst case scenario, something bad happened to this person, and you approach it that way first, and then you work your way back to see if this person, and when you find that person and they say, hey, I'm okay, then you did your job, right? You expect the worst. You don't expect the best first. Yeah, this went on their own. They fine. No, family said they're not fine. You need to go out and treat it that way. So that's what I'm working on too. So I agree with that. Phil H, thank you so much. That caught me off guard. Thank you so much, Phil, for the super chat. I truly appreciate you. Again, thank you so much for the morale booster. Is there a website with background information search area cell phone data, evidence, etc. Willing to search whether it's time permits. Sorry this happened. Again, after I'm gonna have to throw this out, and I'll try to avoid doing this, but I'm running for Congress, and this is a heavy. The race I'm running against an incumbent who's been in office for over 20 some years. So you know that challenge. What I'm trying to do, my run for office is based on, it came from my search for Daniel. It came from my case for of advocating for the 600,000 Americans that go missing every year in this country. Today, over 3,500 people went missing today, every day in this country. And that's where my love and my passion to do something came from. And then I seen a need, also not just for Miss First, but in my state as well. So what I'm saying is, I'm planning to do these searches. I'm planning to continue my work, but what I'm doing right now, my run is not only for my family, but it's for millions of other Americans that's out there. And I really need to win this election to make sure that I'm doing what I can. I know I can because I have learned a lot what I need to do to help other Americans as well. So once I get past November the 5th, I do have plans to get back in Arizona to do some stuff. I've been wanting to do it all summer long, but like I said, it's been a very competitive run so far, and I have a lot. I do a lot, you guys, and it's hard to get a moment where I can leave and get back to Arizona to do what I need to do. And so you guys, I do need your help. Like Phil, if you want to contact, please help find Daniel at yahoo.com. Please help find Daniel at yahoo.com. And I can get a team that can actually do that kind of stuff for me while I'm here in South Carolina running for Congress. That'll help. I would love to put a coalition together to, get some things done out there in Arizona on my behalf, my family behalf, to search for Daniel, right? In my absence, not being able to get there until after, a win in November 5th. So again, yes, thank you so much, Phil, for that super chat, and thanks so much. And I will, if you can reach out to me, and I can reach back and get some more information about that. Also, let's see, thanks so much. Is there a chance, since he was in the desert, he got hypothermia? I don't rule out anything. And let's see, because I know the desert do get hot, super hot. It's 118 degrees around that time in the day. At night it can get cold. That's possible. But one thing for sure, the vehicles was staged there, and and that's no doubt about that. The vehicle staged there, so the whole scenario of him leaving that vehicle hurt somehow and walking from that point out there is non-existent. I don't care what law enforcement say. I feel like it's some type of cover up, and the reason why I say that as well is because my investigator, now here it is, law enforcement collected all the Daniel things from that scene and put it in evidence bag marked for safekeeping, not for evidence, but marked for safekeeping. And they gave that stuff to me. And my investigator found a sock that belonged to Daniel near the well site. That's 4 miles away from where that vehicle was found. And that matches a sock that was in those that bags, right? And so what I'm saying is, if anything, something happened near that well site or at that well site, and that's all I got to say about that. If anything, and another part of that, it almost made me wonder with some of the other evidence I have if Daniel even made it to that desert at all. So some of those things around that line, part of things, is a lot of things that are going on there. But I can definitely, without a certainty, say that vehicle wasn't there. And by the vehicle being planted there like that, there's a form of foul play. Whatever that foul play really means, I do not know. I don't know if that means my son is deceased or he's alive. I do not know, but I know foul play happened. So when you say that, I don't know what happened out there. What happened that day? He got, anything scenario, and he somehow was out there in the desert and got hypothermia or something. You're asking. I don't know, because I don't know what happened that day. We don't know exactly what happened. So that's why I say I don't rule out anything. Mary Ellen, thank you again. What about the car you and your daughter saw that looked like Daniel's with men in it? And again, I reported to law enforcement. They didn't even look into that, right? Eyewitness from me. Anything I said to law enforcement, you would not read that in the report, because to them, it's not going to match their narrative that Daniel some kind of way was depressed, some kind of way he is unhappy. They use the plurals. We talked to co-workers. Now, mind you, when they said all of that to you guys, I was talking to Matrix New World. I had board meetings with Matrix New World. I was talking to the owners, which is Daniel's friends' parents. I was talking to the owners of Matrix New World. And know what they told me? They don't really see Daniel. Daniel's a field geologist, how they explain it. He's a field geologist. Field geologists, they say we rarely see our geologists because they work in the field. They're not office workers. They don't working behind the desk, and they're field geologists. And we rarely say, sometimes we only see them come when they come drop off samples. They have to drop off these samples because they come through this back door. He showed me where the back door is. Come through this back door, they drop it on the table, and they're gone. They don't say hello, do not pass go, collect $200, nothing. They just come in and leave. So law enforcement use these word games with you guys and say, we talked to co-workers who said he was acting a little strange, a little odd. I check into that. They only talked to one co-worker, and that was one of Dan's friends, but they used plurals. It's like Chief Hall used plurals with these pictures, and I forced him to give me, because they gave me one picture at the time, and he said in that meeting, yeah, we took pictures of everything. We took these pictures and whatever, right? I'm like, I cut him. I say, man, you using plurals. Like, y'all gave me one picture. What you mean pictures? You know? So I called him, and he had to give me these pictures with plural. And so what I'm saying, they play these word games in their report to boost themselves up to the public. So it's all a public game. But at the same time, my son and my family, we're suffering from their lack of work. So what I'm saying is, again, yes, I've seen that vehicle out there when we was riding the car coming to Daniel's complex that day. This is the first time I was going to his apartment, and right after he went missing. I mean, right after he missed. I don't think it's been a few days, but right after he went missing. And my daughter was taking us to his apartment because she knew where it was at, and she was in a separate car. But I drive a little fast. I'll be honest with you. I drive a little faster than she does. I had it in my GPS. I got to the complex before she did. I had another person in the car with me, and we both saw that vehicle and says, she said, the person I was like, that looked like Daniel's vehicle right there, because he had the red hooks in front. And I said, well, I mean, they was rolling. These guys were rolling. They was having a good time, laughing or whatever, doing in the vehicle, rolling right past us. And I said, no. I said, nah, well, you know, this is Arizona. A lot of people have Jeeps. Maybe a lot of people have Jeeps like that, right? And I didn't think on hindsight, I wish I could have got a license plate picture, at least, or just looked at it and remember that. But I just missed it. But I did report it to law enforcement that I seen a vehicle matching Daniel's description, fleeing with 4 white guys out of that complex. The crazy part about it, went past his apartment, right? The parking lot, same parking lot. And so, you know, you never heard about that. They never follow up on it, never look for picture cameras, nothing. Even with the young lady, she's saying, I saw him on my camera coming to pick up his canopy. Never seen no pictures of that. Never seen no evidence. She just said it, you know, and they took that as evidence. So long story short, I reported that, Mary. Thank you, Gina. I haven't spent a lot of time. It's been 2 hours and 13 minutes. I have been praying for Daniel since. Thanks so much, Gina. I have been praying for Daniel since this terrible news has happened. My prayers are for you and your family. Thank you so much for your constant prayers. We definitely need that. Question, PM channel. Is there any way the Phoenix Police Department or Tempe Police Department can help with the DNA testing or forensics to ease the financial burden on you? I was able to, Buckeye haven't even done this. I have in the past, PM channel, you probably remember, I was able to convince the Tempe Police Department to do the forensics on all of Dan's electronics. That's how I was able to find out somebody was in his apartment after he went missing. Look for things. But I was able to do that because I had a meeting with the mayor of Tempe. His name was Mayor Woods, as well as then Chief Glover and Anderson, Assistant Chief and Chief of Police. And I was able to convince them to do the forensics on all of Dana's electronics, the cell phone, redo the cell phone, all of that stuff, and get answers. But they shared, they gave me the information I asked for. They said they were doing it for me as a favor, but they had to share their findings with the Buckeye Police Department since they have a case. Understand I didn't like that because I don't trust the Buckeye Police, but understand that being police law enforcement. But we're able to do that. But when it comes to the working of that apartment, I was in the forensics that I have now. I've been fighting with Sheriff Zone at the time for the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, who was passing the boat to Tempe. Then Tempe's throwing it back at them, and then all of them throwing it at Buckeye, and about getting these forensics done and doing it the proper way. I even tried to get with DPS, Department of Public Safety, which they told me that it's better to get Maricopa County to do the DNA testing because that's what I learned about this rapid thing from DPS. They have a rapid facility because if they do it, it'll take over a year to process, and they might even get it for over some year, right? But we do it through Maricopa County, who's where Daniel went missing in Maricopa County. It could be done in matters of days, right? And they're refusing to do it. To this day, it's been 3 years, you guys. They're refusing to do it. Why? Because answers are there. Answers are there that it's not Daniel's vehicle, or not his clothing, I meant to say. Evidence is there that the airbag would show somebody else's DNA there on the passenger side, at least. And evidence are there to hold somebody accountable that maybe they don't want to hold accountable. So what I'm saying is there. So I did ask law enforcement to get these things. That's what that whole basis of why I'm here tonight talking. I'm constantly fighting to get law enforcement to do the right thing before all is lost, before the vehicle is gone, because I can't afford to continue to house forensics for the whole entire vehicle in the facility that it's in right now. Or I can't keep the other DNA evidence, the airbags and all that, safely stored in another facility I have it in. So that stuff costs me money. I'm in South Carolina, taking care of home. I have a home to take care, and I'm still paying bills in Arizona. Think about that. Think about that, just to try to hold it long enough for law enforcement to do the right thing. And as simple as this, process it the right way, get it down, document it, or whatever they found, document it, and then I can let these things go, and it save me money. And they're refusing to do that. It costs me money every month that I have to pay for, and law enforcement refusing to do the work. Think about that. So yes, of course, I tried with Tempe and they did, and I give Tempe the credit of doing the forensics for the electronics as a favor, as they told me, and Tempe, the police department. But of course, when it comes to everything else, they're going to all bounce back to Buckeye, who is definitely ain't going to do anything for Daniel. All right, I have another question. Okay. You are correct, David. The FBI, police, FBI, etc., prioritize who they want to prioritize. Sad state affairs. I have learned so much from you. If I ever had a loved one that goes missing, our own advocates. Yes, we are our own advocates, and that's the reason why. It's a couple of things I want to give to CrimeCon. You guys were here. Another. I don't know if I'm not putting it out just yet. But many of you know I've been a part of the CrimeCon family. And we have some wonderful things that's coming out that's going to be published soon, put out there soon. I work with the Petito family and some of the others, and we're doing some things that will be coming out to help, like I said, advocates for missing Americans and things like that, and other aspects as well. So working on that, as well as I still have Daniel Rosen Foundation. I'm really pushing to get working to do the work that I really wanted to do. And so, it's a lot of work. I'm running for Congress again to fight for missing Americans as well. And so, yeah, it's a lot. So, yeah, I mean, what I can say is, God, like I said again, with your prayers and my faith, I'm going to find my son. I'm putting the action in, because faith is the action word. You got to have action behind your faith. My mother taught me that a long time ago. And so, and it works. And what I'm saying is, just because the delay is there for 3 years, don't mean I'm not going to find my son. But that delay is for a reason, because that delay caused me to be able to help other families, help me to run for Congress, help me to do things that I'm planning to do with CrimeCon and some of these other things. Is because great things can come out of tragedy at times. And if Daniel was here, he'd been found a long time ago, you best believe he would have been by my side doing some of these things for other missing American families too. That's just the way he is. That's where our family is. And I know he would be proud of this stuff. So thank you. Aaliyah, thank you so much. Been following since I heard your story online. You are reaching people. I really appreciate that. And if anybody here who have not hit the like, share, subscribe button or thumbs up, to help with the algorithm, like someone said earlier, to get Daniel's story out there a lot farther. I really appreciate it. Thank you so again, Lola, for being here. Please help find Daniel.com where you can help with all the things I was talking about, to sign the petition, to the volunteer other ways, request flyers, and to print the flyers out. There's also the mail-in protest that help keep law enforcement engaged in Daniel's case. Question from Melissa would be, are you going to do any more searches? After November 5th, we had November 5th general election. It's a presidential year too. So, but after this election, I'm planning to win in November. And, after the election, yes, I will be pushing everything I can to be in Arizona to get a search. Like I was talking to a gentleman, if anybody want to help advocate that to get some things done now, that I would love that too. But my plans would be sometime after that to try again to get some of these things done when I come, like I said, the prospect mines that's out there, and as well as it's a small pocket that I haven't searched because they building this project out there, and I'm trying to find ways to get volunteers on the ground in that area, because I can't go through the same area I've been to before, because they put this new the city out there called Travelis, and they've been breaking ground and all this kind of stuff, and they don't want us on their property any longer. So they gave me the opportunity to search their property really good, and I did everything I can. So what I'm saying, the little area pocket I have left, it'll help me and my family, because it kind of helped us rule out. And I really feel like Daniel's not out there, but it helped me rule that fact out, just in case, because I don't know. And the reason I said it, because we did 49 weeks of desert searches, covered 35,000 acres of land out there. Though we found sadly found other human remains out there, Daniel was out there as this far. So I'm really feeling hopeful and confident that he's not there. Prayers he's found. You are his best advocate. Yes, I have to be, and I think for any parent, we will be our child's best advocate. And thank you so much, Terry, for saying that. I really appreciate you. Went to College of Charleston with Daniel. I love when I hear you all speak out, Daniel's friends and people that know him from school. He always on his skateboard. He always walked past. We always walk past each other. Yeah, I remember his skateboard. Yeah, that's something. Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something I forgot about. Yeah, Daniel, and that. Yes. So thank you so much, Tegan. And thank you so much for speaking out. Like I said, I love when the classmates or people that went to College of Charleston, along with Daniel, speak out. Thanks so much. Terry, thank you so much for the super chat. I truly appreciate it. Keep being Daniel's advocate from T. Thank you, Terry. And I will. One thing for sure, we come from a place where we just don't quit. And law enforcement, I think I'm gonna tell you something, you guys. This is the truth. That vehicle showed up when they gave me that vehicle that day and told me if I didn't get it out there, they're gonna either pay storage fees, get out there, they're gonna have a total away and I pay storage fees. To me, when I look back at hindsight, and this is my own opinion, I'm not saying that's what Buckeye did. I say they was hoping I left, because any other family member would have got out of there and say, because I asked them, they say, well, we search and we look for them, and we ain't found it. And I'm gonna tell you something too, and I'm gonna back up a little bit. And during that time, they also said they took it down off social media. I'm gonna go find it eventually. They took it off of social media. They came out to public and says, we have no more leads to follow. They was done. They told my investigator they're not even investigating. They told him in his face. That's why they gave him everything. the black box data that they didn't even read themselves. We're not investigating. We have no more case pretty much closed to them. No more leads to follow is what they said, right? That's what they told me. And that's what they said on social media was when it's people asked them a question, they took that post down, right? And they say, oh, we always been investigating or something like that to the facts now. I have 4 different police reports. Not all of them match the same in the paragraphs. They change a little bit of words here and there. What I'm saying is, if I would have left that day, if I wasn't the kind of father I am, I'm going to say it like this. If I wasn't the kind of father I am, and I would have left, y'all would have never heard about Daniel Robinson. I promise you that. There would have been no case. He would have been along with the statistics that's there that says this is a cold case. It wouldn't have been 49 weeks of desert surgery, 35,000 acre land. It would have been all of this would have never happened. If I would have left Arizona that day with my tail between my leg and hurt because I couldn't find my son that first day that I got there. Because I used to stand out there in that Sun Valley Parkway many days, stand on the side with binoculars. People knew me that way before I had my searches going. Sitting out there hurt because the only thing that kept me from my son at that time was that desert itself. And I made sure I got out there. And I did it. Didn't know nobody, was able to put a search together. I never organized anything in my life and was able to do it. Worked hard and got it done. And what I'm saying is, I would have left, you would have never heard of Daniel Robinson case. It would have never happened. So what I'm saying is, you know, God had the fortune that I'm a person that just don't quit on nothing, and I just don't quit on things. I'm definitely not gonna quit on my son. I also have my military training that says we never leave a fallen comrade. We never leave anyone behind. I kind of laugh a little bit because I was talking to a young lady. She says, I said, we're never leaving a man behind, right? I said, what about a woman? And I said, well, I mean, everybody. We're not leaving anybody behind. So never leave a fallen comrade, male or female, our soldiers. So we learned that in the military, and I'm definitely not leaving Daniel behind. He's my son. I'm not going, I didn't have a dad growing up. And one thing I did is promise my children they're going to always have their dad. And one thing I learned about being a dad and have a teacher of one is that you lay your life down almost for your children. And so you do that and you do everything you can to fight for them. So no matter how old they get, Daniel, people look at me and say, you talk about Daniel like he's a child. He's my child. I was one to cradle him 3 years old. I'm just saying, just the fact that, he's mine, and so of course, yeah, I'm going to be an advocate for Daniel. I'm going to stand up for his rights. He's speaking for himself. I'm not going to let law enforcement or whoever, I'm not afraid to even question law enforcement. I'm not going to let anybody just give me a sucker and think I'm just going to walk away. Just tell me anything and I'm supposed to believe it. Go without me questioning them. Law enforcement work for you. You don't work for them. They are public officials and they work for us. And they have to answer these questions. They have to produce these answers, right? And so I know this, and I'm going to fight. I'm not a person to give up. I don't give up on anything. So that is where I am. But thank you, Terry Lee, for Lynn, for blessing me with the super chat. I truly appreciate that. God bless you. And thank you, Lenore, for being here again. I may say some of your names again. His channel name is Socialite Crime Club. He specializes in cell phones. Okay, Socialite Crime Club. And I'll put that down as well. And thank you so much for that. I will be looking up for that. Also, Terry Lynn, again, thank you for sharing your channel on my community wall. My prayers are with you. Thank you so much. Also, thank you, Mary Ellen. Did you call the number up on the card I found in the hat? I looked that up, and the weird part about it, I can't remember exactly what it was at this moment. But Daniel don't even own he was living in an apartment. And what they did is some stuff that didn't even have nothing to do with a person who lived in an apartment. I'm trying to figure out why that would be in his vehicle in the first place. Why would it be in that hat? Because it didn't match. So it's another part that I'm not going to put out in the public yet, because I'm still doing my own investigations as well. But yes, you're right. That has the persons on that card. I can tell some things about that too, but I'm gonna leave that alone for the public right now. but I can say that car do not match Daniel's life. I'll just say it like that. It matches one of those officers' life who lives in some house in Arizona, but it don't match Daniel's life. He don't own a home. He live in an apartment. Also, Liz, thank you so much. What a horrible thing to suggest happened to him based on no evidence of such things. Yes, I don't know what happened to my son, but you know what? I'm still looking for him. Okay, let's see here. Gideon, thanks so much. Someone please bless me with something to feed my kids. They have gone without food from yesterday. I'm sorry to hear that. I really was sorry to hear that, Gideon. I know that's very difficult. So God bless you, and those who may want to help, you got the information there. So thanks so much, Gideon, for joining in as well. Also, I have daughter of Zion. Did the sheriff ever rule out that coworker who worked with Daniel? One day I read it was his first day on a job. They don't rule out anybody. I mean, when I said they rule out everybody, I'm just saying I should say that the right way. They rule out Ken. They rule out the young lady. They even rule out the guy who said he saw my son through the rifle of his gun and claimed he was the second person to see Daniel. They ruled out a person that came on social media that says they know the person that did something to my son and all that. They rule out everything. They rule out the fact that my eyewitness said a vehicle shot out. They ruled out the rancher who found the vehicle to say the vehicle wasn't there for on the 17th. And so they rule out anything that don't fit the narrative. So yeah, they ruled the co-worker, the person who is Ken, out of this whole scenario. He just said it, and they believe it, and that settled it for them. And also, let me see here. That's why you guys don't see anything on their report that says, yeah, we went through Ken's cell phone to prove that to be true, that he was at this location at this time, that he made his phone call at the time, he did this, blah, blah, blah at this time. They didn't do any of that because whatever he said was the gospel to them without question, But anything I said to them, nothing. Silence. And this with evidence. Again, my investigator found all the stuff, 11 additional miles, 46 initial cycles, damage, red transfer, all of that kind of stuff. Hard evidence that we threw at Buckeye. We was hesitant. We wanted to give it to the FBI because it was foul play there. It was a stage event. My investigator found all these years of experience in law enforcement himself, investigator. And we was reluctant to give it to Buckeye. Then when we did that, they held on to that information for a whole month. Instead of holding it to them, holding it and really embracing what we found, they hired their own private investigator. Now, my investigator, he was an accident reconstructionist. They went to go hire their own accident reconstruction to rebut everything that my investigator said, right? And that's what you guys heard in the public about my son's case. Who does that? Don't Detective Biffin supposed to be their investigator? They went out and spent taxpayer money on a private investigator that says what they said. And this guy, I'm telling you, the kicker to that, you guys, for the investigator. Would you believe a story of an investigator who actually put their hands on the vehicle, did measurements of the vehicle, took pictures of pictures of the vehicle, whatever they do as an investigator, whatever, look for those physical evidence with their own eyes and their own instruments and everything. Or you would take the advice of a person who looked at a whole bunch of pictures taken on the scene that I even have and say and make a conclusion about what happened to that vehicle based on pictures that we know that has a problem with depth perception, right? You can't take pictures and go totally off a picture to get evidence because of depth perception and things like that. I'm gonna prove that point as well in a minute that I had in my investigation. They did that. They had their investigator who made a full report about my son's vehicle that he never seen before, never touched it, and even asked me for it. I had it in my possession, never asked me for it, never seen it, never touched it, never smelled it, never tasted it, but made a report about something he never seen a day in his life, right? And that's the Buckeye Police Department investigator. And to go back to the depth possession of the picture, in my investigation, I learned that it's impossible to explain to even understand the depth of the damage of that vehicle, for instance, that don't match that terrain in that desert, right? When you're looking at pictures, you have to see it in real time. I'm using a point of example. I had a gentleman, very good friend of mine, who does lives himself, and he was on there. He called me. He said, "David, you sure that's the same vehicle?" Because he had some pictures of where my son's vehicle stored. My investigator, which I was really upset, put out in public this facility where the vehicle was stored, because that's private. And he was doing pictures of him doing his thing to this vehicle, right? Because he was getting the infotainment system out of there to send to California for analysis. And he said, "David, you sure that's the same vehicle that was pulled from the scene that we seen on the picture, and with the red transfer paint and what your investigator have, right?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, why on this picture here, that red transfer paint is here, and on this other picture is not, right?" That's because of depth perception. Because it's because of the angle of the lens and the angle of the camera. No, I had to explain to him, and I had to show him other pictures that he didn't have, so he could see what I mean in the same place, same location. What it is, if you take that, because that damage on that vehicle, the vehicle fold, that damage, that dent folds, and the red transfer paint is really almost under that fold, right? And if you take a picture from an angle this way, you'll see the red transfer paint. But if you're taking directly at the vehicle or from the front looking back, you will not see that red transfer paint because of the dent. And that's because of the picture. And that's why I say that was bogus. And this man, he's supposed to be this well-known investigator that the Buckeye Police Department hired. He should know better than that. To make a full report on something on behalf of the Buckeye Police Department, to my opinion, fit their narrative, based on pictures of something he have never seen before. He should have said, "I can't do this unless I get this vehicle and look and examine this vehicle myself." That's proper investigation. This is the kind of stuff they think they can give to any family member that's out there, and you wonder why people still missing. And these are things, again, you guys, I really need you guys to support me. And I didn't want to say all of this, but I'm saying you guys have to support me for my congressional run. Because these are the kind of things I'll be talking about and fighting about, because it hurting people. That's why we got so many people missing in this country, because the job is not being done right. We can't settle for, and I'm being an advocate for law enforcement as well. If you're underfunded, you're understaffed, it don't give you an excuse to do poor work. It gives you an excuse to say, "I need more funding, I need more staff to do this kind of work for missing Americans." That's why I'm advocating as well that there should be departments, especially in states like Arizona, which is number 4 in the nation, to have the most missing persons in this country. And also California, states like that, they have these big high numbers. All the states, but especially these states, these have this high number of missing Americans, and then these law enforcement are overwhelmed with fighting crime and doing all this other stuff, and then they have doing the job of looking for missing Americans, right? Doing stuff like that. Doing crazy stuff like that. And then people like myself look at them and say some type of cover up or something they ain't doing right. A family member feeling that way because they're not doing the job right. It's either low funding or something going on, or just don't care, apathy, whatever the case may be. And so what I'm saying is I feel that there should be departments within the department funded. Just that's all they do. All they do is find the missing to get rid of this missing American crisis that we have. And it's not even been put on the radar as it should. We talk about the opioid crisis. We talk about some other crisis. But what about these missing American crises? Over 3,500 a day, almost 2,000 of which are children every day. I mean, that's crazy. So long story, what I'm saying is, we have to do something. We have to do something better than that. And that's what I'm going to keep pushing and keep fighting for. I'm going to keep asking you guys support. Rather finding my son, rather for you sharing somebody's story, help me win my election to get to Congress. I'm pushing all of that. I'm pushing everything I can. And I need everybody help. Whoever listen to me, who want to share help, I need all of that. So that's what I'm here for. And that's why I'm here for 2 hours and 39 minutes. I should have been going, getting ready for some of the things I'm doing tomorrow, but I really feel like it's a need tonight. Buckeye Police Department are lying. Daniel's work vest was orange in color, easy to be seen, and by a helicopter drone. If they searched a day or two after they disappeared, they would have seen it. And they would have, if that vehicle was there in that ravine, right? And I wish I should have put the pictures up tonight, but I will the next live. I'll go back on some of these evidence that I have and show you guys. It's funny. They said they couldn't see the vehicle. That's the reason why we was in that area. We just must have missed it because there's so much brush, as they were trying to say. First of all, y'all notice that the brush is none there. The highest bush that comes over there near that area where the vehicle comes to my waistline or probably close to my chest. They ain't had no helicopter footage because it ain't no none exists. And I guarantee you, they'll never, ever, y'all can do FOIA requests or whatever case may be. They'll have no evidence of ever doing a helicopter search because it never happened. I'm still, this is 2024. I had put a FOIA request in to the Phoenix Police Department because they had a Phoenix Firebird helicopter that Buckeye claimed they used to search for Daniel after he went missing. They put in their report. It's falsifying the report because I have put that FOIA request in, and here it is 2024, August, and I still don't have that answer. Because last time I checked with them, they said we don't have no record of that flight. But then I guess they found out it was a Daniel Robinson case. They said, "Oh, we're still looking." When I asked again, we're still looking. They've been saying, "Oh, we're still looking for it." And here it is 2024, and that was in 2021, right? Because it don't exist. That search don't exist for no helicopter. That search for that Maricopa County they claim with DPL and all that don't exist. They have no evidence. That only evidence they ever gave to me or anybody is that drone footage. Exactly what that rancher said to me before they even gave me the evidence. That's what the rancher said. I was there. I had to change they came out there with a white Razor that they always use. They came out a white Razor. I had to change the tire. I was there the whole day. I said, "What about the helicopter?" No, there was no helicopter. I did had drone, and that's the drone footage they gave me the pictures. Even Ken at the well site. When I came to Arizona, the first thing I want to do is look at this man in the eye who told me something different about my son and ask him what happened. Right? One of the things he told me himself, Buck, I say they did a helicopter search with this Phoenix Firebird helicopter. And because I asked him one thing, I asked Ken, and I wrote all the stuff down. This is evidence, this real stuff. Took notes, have evidence of people, my daughter and another person I'm not going to name was with us, and heard him say this. We were sitting there, and I asked Ken. I said, "Were you here since my son went missing? Are you here every day?" He said, "Oh yeah, I'm still here because they still working on that well." He said, "We're still working on that well. We're still here." Because when I met him that day, it was another guy with him, some real heavy set guy. They was asking real bunch of questions before he even let me talk to Ken. It was another story. I'm gonna tell you about that some other time, but it was very suspicious. The guy came up before Ken. I was supposed to meet Ken, not this other guy, but he was asking me all these questions before he called Ken out of earshot of me and wanted to tell him, "Oh, I guess it's okay to come." And then first thing Ken did when he got his vehicle, put his hand in his toolbox like he had a gun or something. I don't know what that was all about, but Ken told me when I asked him, I was like, "Look, man," I say, "Are you out here?" They said, "Yeah, I was out here since Daniel went missing or whatever." He still work out there every day, right? And I said, "Okay, well, great." I said, "Oh, good. So you was out here when Buckeye Police Department came searching for Daniel with their helicopter stuff." He said, "No, I ain't hear no helicopter. There were no helicopters out here. I ain't see the Buckeye Police." He's saying that, right? It never happened. He even told me that, right? So when I approached Buckeye about it, they still stand on their ground to the public. We had this Phoenix Firebird helicopter. There's still no proof of that. They cannot produce a FOIA, which is against the law, because they haven't produced that FOIA request I put in those years ago. So a lot of them in trouble as well. So the point is, I'm saying is, it's a lot of things that happen in my son's case that just don't make sense when it comes to law enforcement. That's why I had to put it out in the public and constantly do that, because I cannot allow my son don't get the justice that he deserves. Andy, thank you so much. I hear you. I've been following this since day one. My impression is that the ball was dropped by LE in the initial days of the investigation. I agree to, and they've been trying to cover this is a word we use in the military, but they've been trying to cover themselves ever since. I know you can't cover facts though. Let's see here. I wonder, Phil, thanks so much for being here. I wonder how thoroughly that main area was searched. Area was searched, I guess. A stranded geologist in a alluvial. I can't really understand that one, but fan would probably follow an aerial. I'm really trying to understand that comment, but thank you, Phil. I can't say that. No, that search was only that desert was only searched properly by myself and all those hundreds of volunteers that have been coming out there with me every week, like literally, and on the weekdays. Um, I spent countless hours out there in that desert by myself. Only a few people knew that I was out there by myself doing my own investigations. It's scary, but when I say scary, I'm a city boy, and you out there in that desert. Trust me, it's so eerie, quiet that scary to me, and then you're so wide open. Um, but they haven't done their job because if you can't find your own stolen vehicle, Maricopa County, law enforcement couldn't find a construction cone, but we found all those human remains, 7, even though they said they're trying to bust it down 2 or 1, or they're trying to say because it brings up their crime statistic. Buckeye already got busted before falsifying their crime statistic report. Chief Hall in the past got suspended. So it's not shocking they're still doing that because I was finding human remains out there with volunteers. And found other evidence up there, other people's cell phone that was in proximity to my son, the vehicle found. I mean, it's a lot of stuff I found out there. But when I say my investigation, my searches, and mind you, that 49 weeks was without law enforcement, without funding from law enforcement, without funding for anybody else except volunteers, people like yourself who have donated to GoFundMe, and also the Black and Missing Foundation, Derek and Natalie Wilson, who foundation will help with those searches out there, help my efforts out there as well. So let me see here. I have to skip you guys. I have to get off. So right now I'm just looking for questions. Thank you, Jen. I look for questions, and I'm sorry, you guys. I have to try to get off of here. Thank you, Lola. Thank you, T and Wildflower, for being a moderator. I really appreciate you. You're always there, so I really appreciate you. And putting the information out there in the chats. Let's see who else I got. I don't have any more questions, I don't think. Aaron, thanks so much. Thank you so much. All the hard work you've been doing in the back. People don't know, but thank you so much for your help. I really appreciate you. You've been a real trooper, and I really love Daniel. So I really appreciate you and T and Wildflower. I really appreciate you both and everybody else who's been helping. Let's see here. No more questions. I really thank everybody for the praying hands. Everybody who's joined in. I wanted to get into something real quick, and I'm gonna throw it in real fast. This clear alert, something I'm fighting for, and this on my congressional side of things. South Carolina don't have this, but Texas do. It's like a silver alert. It's like the Amber Alert, but it's for adults who, if Arizona would have had this for Daniel, during the time Daniel went missing, it'd have been a great tool for, and I really believe that we could have got some real strong leadway with clear alert. I'm just going to brush through it because I'm not going to be able to do this now. I'm trying to get off now. Also, just real quick, no justice, no peace. We demand action with extended family of Daniel Robinson. I really appreciate it. It's going to be a little wrong because it's been 3 years now instead of 2. No justice, no peace means that there can't be no justice. Can't be no peace without justice. My son has been missing for 3 years. This is, like I said, I need to be updated, but he's been missing for 3 years, and it's time for justice in this case. My spirit searcher for my son, I have put in on my investigator's hat and my search hat, and I had been an advocate for my son for many others. I feel that law enforcement have failed Daniel, my family, and me because when I wanted to report Buckeye, went against their own policy. And I'm gonna say this real quick. I'm gonna stop right here. And families need to know this. Whenever law enforcement tell you have to wait 12, 2, 1, I don't care how many hours, ask them is in their policy. Because I would say 99% to 100, there's no such policy. This is something lazy cops will tell families that don't want to do the job, that you need to wait 12 hours. And this them playing family member telling the family that they need to wait to be sure that their loved one is missing. No, you don't. You did your due diligence already. You know that your loved one is missing when you report, and this is urgent. It's not like finding a person who's deceased, like the first 48 hours show that we watch, and the detectives need to try to solve this case in the first 48 hours. No, when it's a person is a live thing that's happening at this moment, every second counts. As soon as that person report that person missing, the law enforcement need to kick in immediately. That's the better outcome, and that's the reason why these numbers are growing up where people are never found ever in life, is because of law enforcement slow action when it comes in and they tell you wait 12 and so hours. We're going to stop that. It's not going to happen anymore, and I'll be advocating against that. I feel that law enforcement failed Daniel and my family and me because they wanted us. I wanted to report, and Buckeye went against their own policy and made me wait 12 full hours to report. They took almost 3 days to do a helicopter search, even after that. Injustice creates anger, frustration, and a sense of powerlessness. It can lead to social unrest. It can lead to protests. Let's work together for this justice. Because law enforcement was slow to act initially, Daniel remains missing. Because law enforcement refuses to take physical evidence of foul play that I gave them, Daniel's justice has been hampered. We have a solution to this problem. I have a solution to the problem. I am demanding that the Buckeye Police Department release my son's case to outside agency that will bring the results. Like I told you before, you guys, to get the forensics done, I've been asking for properly, that I'm paying for the whole for law enforcement to do. That should have been in the evidence locker somewhere, processed, whatever. I need them to do their job. Since my son went missing, the Buckeye Police Department has not found anything to bring us closer to answer. But matter of fact, they gave us more questions than answers. They do not have any available cell phone ping or traffic camera footage, nor do they have the location that the Uconnect in my son's vehicle could provide. And that's another thing I'm fighting when I get to Congress for, those kind of debtors for all the missing Americans and their families, and law enforcement included. Everything that can help in finding Daniel seems conveniently blocked by the Buckeye Police Department. Now that they are blocking other agencies that could be able to help, we will fight to change this outcome. And when I say we are my extended family, and I need your support on this. We will peacefully protest in two forms. I created a mail-in protest that you guys seen on pleasehelpfinddaniel.com to get targeted departments' attention and action. If this effort doesn't encourage law enforcement to do forensics on the evidence from the crime scene that where Daniel's vehicle was found, I am paying to house. We will move to physical protests at their departments of justice. And I plan to still do this. This is a grassroots movement to find my son. Thank you, everyone who has been a part of my family. And I call you guys, everybody, my extended family. Anytime anybody do as much as you guys have been doing, supporting financially, to out in the desert with me, to prayers, to super chats, to whatever, sharing Daniel's story, you're a family to me. And I really appreciate each and every last one of you. Nothing is too small and nothing's too big. And I really appreciate each and everybody. And I really love you all for everything you have done. So again, I'm David Robinson, for those who don't know. The father of geologist Daniel Robinson went missing. If you want to know more about his story, just Google Daniel Robinson, geologist Daniel Robinson, and you will see everything come up about my son's case. Also, you can follow everything I'm doing to fight for my son. You can also follow everything I'm doing to help other Americans. You also can follow me for my run for Congress, and the reason why, by going to davidrobinsonforcongress.com, davidrobinsonforcongress.com, and you'll learn more about my congressional run and why it's important for me to win this election, and why you all can support that way too. If you want to support my campaign, I really can use your support. We need financial donations to help with my campaign, to make me competitive. I'm going against over 20 year incumbent who made a dynasty for himself. It's time for change. It's time for us to get things done. It's time for some action. It's time for new blood in the game to get things like this. We have in South Carolina, for instance, and this is last I checked, and this was in March, we had 270 Americans go missing here in this state. And that was in March. I can imagine where the numbers is. The numbers don't just go down, they go up. And I'm sure we got, but you don't hear anybody speaking about that or doing anything that's solving that problem here in South Carolina and as well as some of the other areas. And I want to fight for that as well. So I need your support and your help. So again, you guys know the character I am. You can see what I've been doing, the kind of father I am. I'm not a person that quit. I just don't stop. And I have my thoughts on things. You can support me in all those areas. Finding my son, advocate for other Americans, the things I'm doing with CrimeCon, etc. Anything, everything we're doing, and also not just me. Make sure you're supporting every family that you can. Again, anybody you see somebody, family member, a story come up on social media, share that story. I'm telling you, it could be a lifeline for that family. That not everybody get an opportunity that my family was able to do with hard work. It took me 3 months to get there, to get Daniel's story on a national level. It took hard work, but not everybody fortunate to get that. That's what I'm trying to say. Some stories you'll never hear about, but they'll share their stories on social media. And it's important that we share their story and circulate it around, because all it takes is one person to see your post, just happen to know you somehow through something else, somebody else, or whatever case may be, and that saw something, and you just solved the case, and you brought a family member home, and you didn't even know you did that. So what I'm saying is, it's important to share somebody's story every chance you can, because that's all we got. News media is not going to carry it all the time. So it relies on people like us to do that ourselves. So again, lastly, I want to say before I jump off, if you have a missing loved one, you have a loved one that you're in disagreement with, you're gonna say this all the time. It's okay to say to this person, I'm not gonna talk to you for a while. I can't be around for you, but you know what? I love you. I want you to know I love you, but right now we just need a break or whatever the case may be, and then you can go back being mad. Make sure you tell the person that you love them, because it might come an opportunity you never be able to say it again. You don't wait till, God forbid, you end up having a missing loved one or something else happen, and you never had the opportunity to say, you know what, I love you. I would give anything to tell my son that, that I love him, I haven't had the opportunity for 3 years now. So um, it's a sad thing. It's a sad thing that families have to endure. A family had to go through that tonight. Like I said, almost 3,000 people go missing every day. And, somebody's going through the pain now. And, just they'll take nothing for granted. But thank you guys. I really appreciate everybody who joined in for this 3-hour live that I wasn't intending to do. I was intending to do an hour live. But like I said, I seen a need, that it's something tell me, hey, there's a need to keep going. And, I really thank you all for hanging in there with me, being a part of this. And I see you next time. And thanks so much. God bless you. And like I said, next time live, I will be doing a live this Friday, but it's for my congressional run. My plans is to do a live every Friday night at 8:30 p.m. That's on the East Coast. That'll be 5:30 p.m. If you live out west in California, for instance, out of Arizona. And just to talk to my constituents, who would be my constituents, and those who would have things they would like to tell me, because I want to know what the constituents want, and say, hey, what you would like to see in your representative, things like that. So I would love your support on that as well. So take care of yourselves. You all have a blessed night, and see you next time. Take care.